89 loyalist skulls in the pile. 89 loyalist skulls. Crush one to dust and drink it with blood. 88 loyalist skulls in the pile. Now, the timeline has progressed as always. It is now 1994, July 23rd, 23 hours, 2 minutes and 27 seconds. Exactly. Now then, where do we begin with the rest of the things? Plop that, and this. There we go. We have sound, we have visuals, we have everything now. Perfect. Well, not perfect probably by other people's standards, but you know what? It's good enough for me. Besides, we're here for the audio entirely. The voice, and I finally settled this is the voice that's gonna be the audio settings that are gonna stay in place forever. Until, unless there's like a catastrophe and something, I'll lose all my progress and then have to fiddle with things again. Which would suck, and I don't want to do that because I lost my mind. Setting things up like this as they are. Oh well. Oh well. Now. Right, that's the thing. Greetings and welcome. I am Carionto, and today we continue with Reach Double Before Crime After Days Xtend Edition. Alright, well, before we get to that and all that jazz, from last time I looked up a thing. Because I commented that phone booths, payphones or something like that in Japan in 2030 seems to look, but I actually looked it up. I should look this up for future times when I see something in one of these that's in another culture, about another culture that doesn't correlate with mine. I should just look it up instead of making assumptions. That's really dumb. Anyway, I looked it up, at least a couple of news articles that were about the payphone thing in Japan in English that were of a relatively recent time period. And apparently, payphones and stuff like that are an essential service, and are dotted around most cities and rural areas, every now and then. Although one of them mentioned that they're talking about limiting them to just like emergency service places and like hospitals or something like that, because of the significant reduction in their utilization over the past years. But, a city like Rokume City in this fictional world, purpose-built, probably would still have some lingering policies from, just a decade or two ago. So yeah, actually, payphones, just dotted about, totally reasonable to have there. So I retract my comments I made during that bit entirely. In the previous part, I think I might have mentioned that earlier as well. Anyway, that's that. What else? Relevant? Nothing. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that's relevant that's happened. That's at least worth mentioning anyway. So yes, alright. Next up we have the vocal exercise. I need to get into the mindset of reading things and pronouncing things properly and correctly. So, as we do normally, we first have to, obviously, reset our minds to something that's away from the reality that we know, the chaos that we know, the chaos that I bring to you is enough. We don't need other factors contributing to that. So, without further ado, we're going to have a little visit to a place called The Onion. I'm sure you've heard of it. And they're gonna tell us about a horrible couple who really wants wedding to reflect their personalities. It's very important that we all find out about this. Published on July 26th, 2012. Chicago. Chicago. That's a great Frank Sinatra song, by the way. And according to recently engaged and utterly smug shitheads Ross Bird and Jessica Black, the couple wants their upcoming nuptials to be not just a wedding, but also a true reflection of who they are as human beings. Well, great fucking start. We want to throw out... No. This is the... okay, this is the lady saying it. Alright. They're pretentious fuckshits. We want to throw out all wedding conventions that don't scream Jess and Ross. The utterly contemptible Black said Thursday, adding that the couple's uniqueness will be mirrored in every aspect of the ceremony. From the drinks served in mason jars to the sparklers we're handing out to everyone when it gets dark, this is going to be a wedding only we could have. What lovely people. We want it to be a celebration of our love, the unbearable woman continued. But we also want it to be fun and quirky, just like us. Makes you want to punch somebody in the face, doesn't it? The couple told reporters the insufferably precious ceremony will include readings from Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, a 10-minute silent meditation on each wedding guest's own conception of love, and a forcibly lighthearted accordion wedding march expected to last for nearly 20 minutes. Excruciating. That sounds excruciating. Oh boy. And as if an Instagram photo booth were an insufficient demonstration of the pair's inveterate awfulness, the couple reportedly plans a build-your-own Vietnamese sandwich bar and a summer-loving casual dress code. Now it's the guy. What kind of fuck with voice do I want to give the guy? Jess and... oh, no, that's not gonna work. Jess and I both want the ceremony to feel more like a crazy, fun dance party with our friends than a stuffy wedding, said Bird, apparently unaware of just how colossally irritating he comes off while he is speaking. And we're hiring an authentic Appalachian mountain music band for the reception, because I love Appalachian music, but get this, they're going to play 80s pop songs. I think that's appropriately irritating voice to give him. I think so. How awesome is that? Bird actually had the nerve to ask. It's just so us, you know? Ugh. In place of a standard efficient, the thoroughly what the fuck is that word? Execrable? Okay, I need to look that up. What the fuck is this word? What the fuck is this word? Google, help me. How the fuck do you pronounce this thing?
Execrable.
Execrable. Okay. Execrable.
Execrable.
Alright, execrable. The thoroughly execrable couple had asked friend Sean Lawden to register as a justice of the peace, and perform the ceremony. Lawden, 33, a carpenter and amateur musician, will reportedly initiate the proceeding with an a cappella rendition of the Etta James song, At Last. The bride, a Vassar College graduate, has suggested the patriarchy implicit in many marriage customs will be omitted from the occasion, including the subtext of property transference, in the custom of the bride's father walking his daughter down the aisle. Furthermore, instead of trading wedding rings, the pair said they will wear bracelets hewn from teak driftwood the couple collected on a trip to Cambodia in 2009. Oh boy. Attendees will reportedly be expected to ride bicycles to the wedding venue in honor of the groom's lifelong love affair with cycling, and all guests will receive a hand-decorated card indicating how much their carbon footprint has been reduced by doing so. Sources later confirmed that if any couples deserve to die tragically before their wedding, that it's this one. Oh, jeez. The invitation... No, who's speaking? Oh, this is just another person. The invitation includes instructions for folding it into a paper airplane to represent Ross and Jessica's love of travel or something, said groomsman Dylan Emerson, noting the whimsical, "Please fly me into the recycling bin when done" message on the back. And no, this is the pretentious people speaking. Yeah. "Please fly me into the recycling bin when done" message on the back. And the save the date was a personalized YouTube video with Ross and Jessica both wearing... No, this is the guy again. And the save the date was a personalized YouTube video with Ross and Jessica both wearing fake mustaches. Okay. I mean, Jesus Christ, Emerson added. Yeah. According to the Pulsed sources, the couple's shelter rescue dog Mao's the dog. Fuck God. God damn it. Mao the dog. God fucking damn it. Alright, I haven't even started and I'm already losing my mind. Good, excellent, perfect. We'll carry the bracelets down the aisle. This will then reportedly trigger a flash mob style dance routine among the reluctant wedding party, culminating in a group sing-along to the 2007 Andrew Bird song Imitosis. Invitees say they eagerly anticipate the bride and groom's bitter divorce, which will much more authentically capture the couple's shitty personalities. My God, that sounds detestable, every bit of it. Good job. Sometimes the universe we delve into is far worse than the one we escape from. Anyway, that's only one of the universes we can escape to. Anyway, with that out of the way, we can try to remember what happened last time. Okay, no, actually, yes. No, we are about to converge the paths. We're done with the past. The high school is done. The at home, the outside, the labo bit is done. The kids are converging in the facility. They were captured by Watase, Hiyama, and Dojima, tied up because for some reason they decided not to kill them. I don't know why. I personally would have if I'm about to blow up a nuclear reactor. So, I mean, what's 3 corpses plus the other ones? But oh well. I guess I messed up in the head in that regard. Sure, so be it. Yes, they got out thanks to the fact they had a robot with them who could give commands. You know, Luis's Alice thingy that interprets people's facial expressions and feelings and stuff like that, and tells her what they mean. But yes, we're about to converge. We've seen a bit of them running about the facility, escaping fires, getting through doors, slowly figuring out that there is no escape from Labo. No. Then, that's it, yeah. Basically, all that's left are a few key questions. First of all, kind of less important, but still important, is how did Yuri's parents die? Second is, what is Yuri? What is she? Where is she, by the way? Like, I had this weird thought one day, a couple of days ago or something like that. Well, like, another theory of mine, yes, where Yuri has never left the facility. That she's always... No. Yes? No, when they got in that accident, she never left the facility afterwards, and it's been her, like, projection into the minds of those she cares about at home. And that's it. That's why she refuses to... That's one of the reasons why she staunchly refuses to leave. Because she's not actually there. She's only projecting her existence. Because they had the whole conversation a couple parts back in school about, how perception is reality to some people. Like, it becomes reality and whatnot. Where they believe this fake thing that's just in their brain is actually real. That could be a thing. That could totally be a thing, right? Or it's the other way around. And during the whole Labo escapade, she still is at home, but projecting herself in the minds of the people in the facility, though that one seems less sensible. I mean, both are ridiculous, but we have psychokinetic children. Alright, the incident. Before the incident, Natsuhiko's, like, aptitude for this whole BC magic thing was only, like, average, rank C or something. But after the incident, obviously it shot up to rank S, because obviously we know that this facility researches that, and there is no nuclear reactor, it's some kind of generator for these double UX particles, or something like that. So we'll find out what's that about, hopefully. Although that might be in the third route, the converged route. Once we've caught up and figured out hopefully we'll see, how did Kiyama and Dojima die? Who killed them? How did they kill them? Because initially I thought it was probably the kids, but now I'm not so sure. I kind of don't believe any of the kids have the guts to actually kill anyone. So what was that about? So that's what, I guess we'll find out. Let's set forth and find out the answers to these and other questions. Let's go. Indeed. Anyway, yes. They dashed out of the ruined factory and ran onto the main road. Eventually, they saw the inspection gate that led to Labo. But just as they had suspected, there was a traffic inspector there. They could see a different man at the inspection gate than the inspector they saw last night. Well, yeah, shifts. Different times of day. That's right. Of course it'd be guarded even through the night and at dawn. Yeah, they believe it's a nuclear reactor, of course. Should we talk to him? No. He'll just alert things. I mean, we know they get through. This is just a formality. It would probably end up a repeat of last night. So let's break through. Break through? Well, yeah. There's 3 and he's only 1. But you gotta be sneaky. He'll alert things. The terrorists aren't there yet. I'll provide the diversion. You two take that opportunity to slip through. Once you get through the inspection gate, run for a while and then wait for me. I'll promise I'll catch up. Sure. Formalities and all that. Alright. After receiving confirmation from Natsuko, Luis headed straight for the front of the inspection gate. Okay, let's go, Mashiro. Yee. Yee. Natsuko and Mashiro hid beside the inspection gate for now. Alright. It is fun to see how they get there. Eventually I heard the traffic inspector call for Luis to stop. Ah, hey you, hold it right there. Huh? Ah, she's gonna play the ditzy, confused little girl at night. It's because it's late. Wait, no, it's like super early. It's 4 a.m. Yeah, the fuck are you doing out here, little girl? Where do you think you're going so early in the morning or so late at night? 4 a.m. is one of those times when it's like either works. When the traffic inspector began his interrogation, Luis answered in a feeble voice. Daddy got drunk and went on a rampage at home, so I had to run away. What? It's believable. She's only like, what, 13? God, she can play the thing. What? It's a diversion. What are you so shocked about, dude? A diversion. She's gonna draw him in, then she's gonna knock him out. The traffic inspector was caught off guard, but Natsuko was completely shocked. Oh, now. Apparently, Luis was doing improv to distract the traffic inspector. Although I guess they probably wouldn't have expected her to do that because she's been very monotone and not super expressive. So this kind of act is very different from her typical behavior. So yeah, fair enough to be shocked, but still, come on, get a hold of yourself. The traffic inspector completely fell for it as he listened intently to her story. I mean, he doesn't know anything about her, so of course he'd believe her. She's the little girl. You poor thing. Ah, he's tearing up. Ah. I'm a stepchild, so mommy won't help me either. Marsha whispered in disbelief as to what she was hearing. What? I didn't know Luis could pull that off. Also, who knows if it's not drawn from actual experience. Yeah, the story's so cliche that it hurts, but it sure looks like it's working. It's 4 a.m. It's a little girl. The god is out of his mind, bored. I mean, like, there's no reason for him not to believe her. Like, what would he be thinking? As they peeked at him from under cover, they could tell the traffic inspector was completely focused on Luis. He didn't seem to be aware of their presence at all. Not a good job you're doing, mate. There shouldn't be many sounds, so you should be able to hear them and feel their presence. Like, come on now. Train your passive perception. Just listen constantly. Listen to everything all around you at all times. And try to focus on it. As well, always look around everywhere. Sometimes do like a thing, like roll your eyes, I guess you could say that. To just take in the view, peripheral view of everything. Just like refocus on everything for a brief moment. It helps. It helps. Just do that regularly and you'll be amazed how much better you are at perceiving your surroundings and paying attention. I mean, sure, you'll still sometimes get caught off guard. That's kind of inevitable. But still, it helps. Improving your perception helps. There are no downsides to it. Now's a chance. Let's go, Natsuhiko. Yee. Natsuko and Mashiro took that chance to jump out of cover. They slid into the traffic inspector's blind spot and slipped through the gate. Once they were through, they ran for it. They could hear Louise's conversation from behind, but their voices faded into the distance before long. Will Louise be okay? Of course she will. She's an athletic genius. She'll just parkour up from beneath the bridge. Like, you just watch. She'll be like, or something. Who knows? Mashiro stopped and whispered after they had run for a while. I think so. Anyway, let's wait for now. It's 10 kilometers. That's gonna take you 2 hours. Easily. I mean, they do arrive at sometime around 6 a.m. So yeah, that makes sense. That's totally reasonable. Natsuko stopped and pondered. She told us to wait, but how exactly does Louise plan to catch up with us? After they waited and pondered that question for a while, she's just here. Suddenly, Louise popped up from underneath the overpass. Haha, I fucking knew it. Haha, parkour from beneath the thing. Of course she did. Sorry for the wait. Well, Louise? Yeah, what the fuck do you expect, dude? She's super athletic. Or acrobatic, that's the word. Huh? How did you catch up? You two are slow and she's fast. After a simple back and forth with the traffic inspector, I went down to the lower road and climbed the pillar underneath the overpass. Just climb it, okay. Mashiro and Natsuko timidly responded to Louise's matter-of-fact explanation. Louise, are you a ninja? I mean, basically, yes. Yes, she is. I trained in ninjutsu for about 3 years. I'm still inexperienced, but I can at least use the ninja fire breath jutsu. Okay, now she's just fucking with them. Okay, she's just fucking with them. Good. She's developed a sense of humor. You can. I cannot. That was a joke. You fell for it. You two fell for it. Come on. Mashiro's shoulders plopped. Oh, she genuinely believed that. Oh, Mashiro. Ah. Why do you know the name of ninjutsu skills? Because she reads the manga stuff. It was in a sci-fi novel I read. The novel itself was boring, though. Ever since I met you guys, I've been trying to find my own ways to fit in with other people. That joke and the acting back there were some of those ways. How were they? Fucking excellent. The joke was a little, should I say, highbrow? Was it? I mean, it's kind of believable because of the other things she has demonstrated. But like, come on now. That was obviously a joke, like fire breath. Come on. Come on. I wouldn't say that highbrow. But the acting was top-notch. Even we were amazed. I see. Ah, she's happy. Louise smiled at their answer. Natsuko and Mashiro returned the smile and they were back to running. To the other end of the overpass. To Labo. It's gonna be a little while. That was a path that only people authorized by Labo could traverse. A direct 10-kilometer path without any forks or exits. Yeah. Their footsteps echoed through the overwhelming silence. There's gotta be wind there. That's just direct, straight, well, almost straight path. Eventually, Louise looked to the side of the street and whispered. Natsuko, another camera. Ah, right, that's the thing. On the other side of her gaze was a surveillance camera. If these were set up properly, like they would have like overlapping. Cameras would overlap a little bit, especially on a simple narrow and straight road like this. You know, one camera still has, you know, its sights at least in the corner some of at least one other camera. Maybe two for extra safety. Because like cameras can see fairly. Maybe? I don't know. That would be the smart thing to do. You know, overlapping surveillance zones, just like overlapping firing ranges for like trench warfare and stuff like that. Okay then, Luis, if you will. Understood. Wait just a bit. I've been stopping every now and then. 10 kilometers, yeah, this takes easily 10 hours. It takes me an hour to walk 6 kilometers. And I walk pretty fast. I've got the endurance for it. Natsuko and Mashiro do not. This is, yeah, but fine, whatever. They're young. They have infinite energy reserves. Louis softly stepped toward the surveillance camera post and connected Alice. They had already neutralized 7 cameras like this. We've already been walking for about an hour, eh? In order to meet up with the correct timeline, you being there at 6:19, the explosion happening in 619, you have to be at least halfway through. We're still about halfway, huh? Think we should hurry it up a bit? You should. You have to. You have an hour and 19 to get to the explosive bit. No, let's slow down the pace. We'll get there even later if we use up all our stamina. Louis returned as Natsuko finished speaking. I mean, it doesn't matter what you said. You're gonna get there within an hour. Natsuko, Mashida, I'm done. Good, Louis. Let's walk from here on. That would be wise. Judging by the state of the inspection gate was in, I don't believe the terrorists have started heading to Labo yet. They don't have to be there yet. No. They've already planted the things. They'll be there when they need to be there. When they are summoned. The kids walked off into the silence once more. A sense of loneliness overcame them, as if they had walked into a world all their own. I mean, technically that's correct. It is a gated-off world. Hey, Natsuko. What? You said we were going to go directly to Labo and tell them about the existence of a sleeper agent. But who exactly do you intend to tell? Not your mom, is it? Like, she's just gonna dismiss you as a kid. But everyone else will as well. And you can't trust Ukita, can you? Although you've read his heart. You saw into his heart, so maybe you can. At least you think you can. Although he'll turn mad, so not really. The security guards could secretly be criminals too, like what happened with the PRC, right? That indeed was a possibility that he just realized. But they're not. The sleeper agent might not be Yukita. There might also be more than one. Guess we've got no choice but to use empathy and look for someone we can trust. That's your solution to everything now, isn't it? Once Natsuko said that, Luis quietly spoke up. No. I think we should go see Dr. Tenkawa. Oh? Why is that? My mom. She didn't listen to us yesterday, I remember. But she did have her heart open, so I guess that's fine. There's a high possibility she won't take us seriously again. I know. She's selfish. She doesn't listen to me. She never has. She's not selfish. No. That's false. So why mom? I can't rely on her. Yes, you can. You should still believe it, Natsuko. She is your mom after all. Like, come on now. She does everything for you. And in order to do that, she has to work really, really hard. So, Louise interrupted. She spoke in a tone that wouldn't take no for an answer. And I keep interrupting myself as well and everything else constantly. Double interruptions. Triple sometimes. Eh? The professor does worry about you, Natsuko. You just don't realize how much she does. Indeed. He's only 16, so can't expect him to understand. Have you forgotten? The reason I was given the duty to protect you was because of the professor's orders to begin with. Yeah, but why are you following those? That's also another question. Why is she so staunchly determined to, protect Natsuko and follow the orders of Dr. Tenkawa? Like, sure, there's some kind of familial connection there. And she was there in, Europe at some point. With Luis, whatnot, but, I don't know if they gave us enough for me to understand why Luis is acting the way she is. He should have known that for days, ever since Luis had come to the house, and yet, judging by that point alone, the professor must deeply worry about your safety. Am I wrong? No, you are not. But why would mom do something like that? Because she cares about you, dude. She's your mom. Come on now. I haven't heard the detailed circumstances myself, but this is what the professor told me right before I arrived at the Tenkawa residence. Not even the strongest fortification can guarantee perfect safety. This town has several holes. As a rank S aptitude communicator, Natsuko is at a higher risk of danger than other communicators. But I cannot stay with him at all times, so I want you to protect Natsuko for me, Yui. Mom said that. It was hard to believe at first, but part of it sounded familiar. I mean, that's what that voice meant? What voice? The mental voice he had heard from his mother yesterday. Oh, that bit. Yeah, I knew it. He hates me, but until all the work is complete, it would be best if I avoided him. That bit, right. Natsuko was rendered speechless as Louise continued. The professor said this too. Both Natsuko's mind and yours are lacking in some areas, but that's exactly why you can complete each other. Interesting, okay. I have high hopes for you, Yui. Hopes that you can give Natsuko what I cannot. Indeed, hopes that Natsuko can give you what I cannot. I didn't quite understand what she meant when she said that, but now I feel like I understand. You do? Ever since I met you and became friends with Nasha, I've gained so many things. Indeed. The professor did not lie, so I believe in her. Natsuko gazed at Luis. Her firm expression somewhat resembled his mother's. Mashiro quietly spoke up as well. Natsuko, what Luis is saying is true. Eh? You see, the professor's always thinking about you. Besides, it was the professor who asked me to come by and make food for you, remember? Yeah, that's true. You're right, she was. The professor thought that you needed a family to be with you in that empty house in her stead. Aww, that's nice. That's actually really nice. In its own way. Yeah, no, not in its own way, it's just really nice. She's doing the best she can, given her own unique circumstances. Because if you and Yuri were left alone, left alone amongst yourselves, your emotional scars would only deepen. Left alone amongst yourselves, right. I'm sure that was her intention behind arranging for Luis to live in the Tenkawa residence as well. It's a big happy family. Eh? Mashiro is the mom, Natsuko is the useless husband, Yuri is the granny, and Luis is the daughter. No, I feel really, really dumb for saying that word there. Natsuko was taken aback. I feel kinda gross. Shouldn't say those words. Those don't fit in my mindscape. He realized that the three residents in the Tenkawa household, Natsuko, Yuri, and finally, Luis, all had one thing in common. And that was the lack of deep familial bonds. They knew not the warmth of a family. Is that what she meant by us completing each other? Yeah. The moment he came to that realization, all doubts in his mind melted away. Yeah, you can trust your mom. Although, her reaction to him dying and stuff like that from the wrong ending in After Days route was a bit odd. Although it's been like 2 months, so I can only barely remember it. Anyway, why his mother had taken custody of Yuri, why she brought Luis to their home, and why she had ordered Luis to protect him. It all tied back to that single intention his mother had. Why, Monk? Come on. Why haven't you ever said a word about this? Because she didn't want you to worry? She didn't want you to think about these things. Come on now. As that question came to mind, Natsuko took a look at the watch wrapped around his wrist. It was a Salvia branded watch. It was a gift his mom had given him in the distant past. The memory of when he had received that watch rose up in Natsuhiko's heart. How many years ago was it? That's right, it was when I was 5, so 11 years ago. Further, right after Dad died. His mother was not as much of a workaholic back then. Yeah. Because, it was a functional family unit and then wasn't suddenly. You gotta distract yourself from that somehow. Even after her beloved husband had died from illness, she showed no tears to her son, but a soft smile and said, "Gotta be strong for the kiddo." And once things had calmed down after the funeral, Natsuko's mother gently spoke to her son, who had yet to stop crying. "Natsuko, I'm giving you this watch." Eh? Watch? It was your father's watch. I gave this watch to him when we were young, and he wore it every day until his last. It was a memento of his father. The mother changed the strap and fastened it to her son's wrist. I also have a letter your father wrote for you. And with that, she handed Natsuko a letter. The letter was written in simple hiragana so that Natsuko could read it at his age. "Dearest Natsuhiko, I'm sorry for leaving you behind and dying while you're still so young. I'm sure you're sad. I'm so sorry. But you mustn't cry forever. I'm sure your mom will be sad if you cry. Your mom might look strong, but there are many more delicate things about her than you would expect. So please support her. You're a strong boy. You inherited my sense of justice, and you have a heart that won't lose to pain or sadness, and I'm proud of you for that. No matter how painful it gets, don't you cry. Protect those weaker than you. The more you protect people, the tougher things will get. You'll get hurt a lot too, but I'll end up here in heaven watching over you in return. So be strong. I love you, my son. Your father, Shun." The handwriting was terribly rough, perhaps because it was written when his father was in his sickbed. Seeing the disheveled letters made him want to cry again, but Natsuko desperately held in his tears. As he held tightly onto the letter with quivering hands, his mother gently embraced him. Your father is always with you. And I am too. I always will be. There were tears in her eyes as she said that. Mom, why are you crying? Even if Dad's gone, I'm here for you. So don't cry. The professor nodded and softly closed her eyes. The first tears he ever saw his mother cry quietly spilled down to the floor with a faint sound. He had never seen his mother cry again until yesterday. Shortly after his father's death, his mother began working day and night as if to distract herself from the sadness. She came home less and less. His father told him to protect his mother, but Natsuko came to think that his mother was someone who could live on her own. Eventually, Natsuko put the letter away inside his desk and sealed the once precious memory away inside his mind, seldom to be recalled again. But that's why I've always used this watch, isn't it? Natsuko always carried the symbol of the bond he had with his parents. Natsuko could feel the misgivings his heart held against his mother quietly begin to unravel. But, obviously, even if he did see her soon, it wasn't as if they could return to a normal parent-child relationship that quickly. But even so, let's go see Mom. Yeah, there we go. Emotional memories. Didn't want to disturb that with my random nonsense. Yeah, so action time. We got some sadness, we got some heartwarming things as well. Emotions, family units. Luis and Mashiro silently nodded at the notion. Nobody in town was on their side. Not the city, nor the police, nor the school. But my mother, my own flesh and blood. That thought was their last hope. As long as she's on our side, there's nobody more reassuring than Mom. True, after all, she's top brass at Labo, and a world-class physicist too. Well, she's involved in doing some iffy research. Yes, not even I can win against her. Well, mentally, no. The three kids smiled at each other. That definite glimmer of hope was enough to raise their courage up a notch. But how do we meet up with the professor? They said they were strengthening security, so don't you think it would be hard to get inside the building? It should be. According to the rumors, Labo's security guards are ex-JSDF. Japan's Self-Defense Force, something like that. Soldiers equipped with rubber bullet machine guns. That reminds me, Mr. Kita said that Labo had permission to possess security measures beyond the law, didn't he? aka actual military-grade equipment. Then do we infiltrate from a back entrance? Such a large facility has a high probability of having several entrances. Apparently not that many, actually. Natsuko, that was the the main entrance. Then there's the cargo elevator, although that's... Oh, look. Yeah. And then there's the lake thing, which is technically not really an entrance. It's a really makeshift DIY, not actually an entrance exit thing. Anyway, Natsuko pondered that question for a while. No, let's go in directly from the front. Yeah. Heroes don't sneak, they bull rush. Eh? If the sleeper agent is a security guard, then sneaking in would actually be more risky. There's the danger they could bring us somewhere out of sight and finish us off there. But if we walk in fair and square through the front door, we'll attract a lot of eyes. It'll make it difficult for the enemy to interfere with us that way. Clever. But if the security guards aren't sleeper agents, then wouldn't it only be obvious that they would apprehend us? No problem. If we get them to take us to Mom, then that'll still fulfill our goal. True, but isn't that still too much of a gamble? Alright, well yes, you're going into enemy territory basically. You got nothing but gambling options here. Yeah, it's a gamble, but it's probably our safest bet, and the route most aligned with justice. God, I never see the word justice, it just kind of seems so... I don't know, what word am I looking for? It just seems a little silly, like... not quaint, just a little... I don't know, the word justice. Justice makes me think of these, like, very overzealous, like, true heroes of justice, it's a little silly. It's a little silly. I don't know, but that's just my connotations inside my brain connections. What hero, alright, and him saying that, what hero of justice sneaks in through the back door? A lame hero, that's what, or a smart hero. Mashiro stared in blank amazement at Natsuko's broad grin. Fucking hell. Natsuko, aren't you acting a bit differently from how you usually do? Oh yeah, he's back to being his 9-year-old self. What? Have you forgotten, Mashiro? Well, I guess I can't blame you since it's been 9 whole years. But this is how I used to be, isn't it? Jeez. Mashiro's face lit up like the sun at those words. That's it, Natsuko. Those were the words I've been waiting for. Yee. Okay, so no problems going through the front then? Right, guys? Hell no. Go for it. That certainly does seem like the most rational idea. Yee. The three of them smiled at each other, and they gazed at the end of the long road. The summer triangle shone up high in the night sky as if to guide them, as if each of the 3 stars symbolized them. Yee. This sort of thing happened before, didn't it? The accident. Natsuko abruptly recalled an event from his past. Finally, the actual accident. Details, right? When he was young, Natsuko wanted to be a hero of justice. And in an attempt to get even the slightest bit closer to that goal, he ran all around town with a complete disregard for danger. But because of his actions, Yuri got hurt. That was when time stopped for me, wasn't it? He had always thought that it didn't matter to him. If his frail sense of justice hurt others, then he was better off not doing anything. But it's not like that now. I swear I'll protect everyone and everything this time. Natsuko walked with that conviction in his heart. There we go. Eventually, as the stars faded away to give rise to the light of day, they found their destination just a short distance away. Would the sun rise that early? I mean, it's September. So it might rise. Yeah, actually, that's reasonable. Still, more or less. The building was surrounded by a tall fence with a giant gate. The kids climbed over the fence and infiltrated the premises. That's a shitty wall, if they can just climb it like that. Kind of defeats the purpose of just a bunch of teenagers can climb the fence. Just a formality. Although I guess it would be just a formality, given like the 10-kilometer only road and way here and stuff like that. Looks like we're here. Before their eyes was a gigantic building. It honestly doesn't seem that big here, but I mean there's floors below. There's 2 floors that people know about below, and then there's another much deeper floor below, housing the true existential horror, the beast of consciousness, or something like that. Labo, the 6th laboratory of atomic and biological organization. The place where Natsuko and Yuri had suffered their permanent emotional scars. And Natsuko got his superpowers. Well, sort of. It sure is quiet. It is 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Yeah, it's just 6 a.m. Of course it's quiet. It seems like the terrorist attack hasn't started yet. Oh no, that's 19 minutes away. Yee. Or a bit less than that. Natsuko answered in a stiff voice. Damn it, I knew it would happen, but just looking at the building made him break out in goosebumps and a cold sweat. His fear from 9 years ago was alive and well. Put up with it. You can overcome this. Yeah, give yourself a pep talk. The moment he thought that, a sharp voice rang out from a short distance away. What are you kids doing here? This is a restricted area. They saw 2 men who seemed to be security guards rushing up to them from a labo. They were slinging what appeared to be machine guns off their shoulders. Mashiro stepped back in fear to see them. Makes sense. But Natsuko stepped up as if to cover for Mashiro and Luis as he answered the security guards. Please wait, I'm Natsuko Tenkawa, the son of senior researcher Miyoko Tenkawa. What? The younger security guard looked dubious as Natsuko showed them his student ID and continued. I came here to see my mother, urgent business. Can you call her for me? What kind of business? A life or death family crisis. I mean, potentially technically not wrong. I haven't been able to contact my mother since yesterday, so I had no choice but to come here directly. Natsuko came up with a lie. As he did so, he desperately tried to use empathy. But just then, telepathy from Masha came soaring into his head. Natsuko, I can't read their minds. They aren't opening up their hearts. Well, no shit, you're suspicious, bunch of teenagers coming here at 6 a.m. on possible things. Why would people, like the security guards, if they're trained well, and they're, if they're ex-soldiers as well, so of course they wouldn't open their hearts like that. Not easily to just anyone. Of course not. The fuck do you expect? Everyone to be open-hearted? Like that. I mean, it would be nice if that were the case, but that's not the case. That's not how anything works. Yeah, I can understand why. Oh shit. Regardless if the security guards were sleeper agents or not, it was only expected that they wouldn't open their hearts to some high school kids who suddenly appeared in the restricted area. They stared at the kids. Eventually, the younger security guard whispered to the older one. Should I call that Tinkawa? Suddenly, raindrops started falling from the sky. Before they knew it, the sky became covered in clouds, and it started to rain. The security guards looked up at the sky in frustration. It's just rain, but it is annoying. They have to work. Security. Rain, huh? Well, fine. We'll bring you to the entrance. Wait for Dr. Tenkawa there. Okay. The kids secretly clenched their fists in glee at those words. The kids were taken to the entrance. It's a nice lobby. It's a very nice lobby. It's massive though. Like, geez, look at that ceiling. Look at the elevator. The elevator is like 7, the doors typically like 7 feet or something like that. That's almost doubling there. Plus it still goes up here. That's a really tall roof. And slanted things. Oh man, this is a really fancy building. It's a really fancy, like, like a yellow marble. Like super shiny and reflective. Damn, that must be slippery though as well. Wouldn't really want to walk on that in, like, things that aren't rubberized or something. Still. My mind went a bit blank. I was trying to think of something, but then I forgot about it. Anyway, the older security guard spoke up. I'll call the professor. Wait here for a little bit. He disappeared behind an iron door further down the entrance. The younger security guard stayed behind with the kids. You can't take us to her? No. People from the outside can only come into this entrance area, unless they have explicit authorization or permission or whatever else. There are security gates set up around the facility that prevent you from entering unless you have a corresponding card. The man glanced at the iron door. Beside the door was what appeared to be a card-swapping slot. Where is Dr. Kenkawa? In one of the labs. Somewhere in the basement floors, I suppose. But security is even tougher on the bottom floors than the ground floors, so it's strictly off limits to ordinary people. Depending on the situation, you could even be shot and apprehended without warning. So if you understand what's best for you, you'll wait here. If security was that severe, then terrorists probably wouldn't be able to get in. But unless they called in. But we can't let our guards down. We don't know how the enemy plans to invade, after all. No, you would have no idea. As Natsuko considered that possibility, he received telepathy from Mashiro. Like, kind of their plan to stop the terrorist attack is kind of pointless, because, we know it fails. So, anyway, we can't afford to waste time, right? Should we take this opportunity to send telepathy to the professor? Natsuko was taken aback, but he nodded at Mashiro. Roger, in that case, I'll try sending it. Yeah, I'll try too. Natsuko concentrated his mind. He imagined his mother's characteristic brave Wayne form in his head. She had told him herself once before, she was a type 4, just like Louise. There's something I need to tell Mom. I've never needed this ability any more than I do now, so of course I'll be able to use telepathy. The moment he made that conviction, Natsuko's 5 senses suddenly faded. He could feel his message leaving his head as it emitted from his brain. Mom, can you hear me? It's me, Natsuhiko. We're in Labo's ground floor entrance. We came here for reasons related to what we told you about yesterday. That is, terrorism. There's a possibility that Q is targeting this facility. Q's objective is to destroy this town. That's why they're targeting this facility's nuclear reactor. She has N-level access. She knows there's no nuclear reactor though, right? I think. To make matters worse, there's possibly a sleeper agent in this facility. It could be Mr. Okita or someone that, well, that doesn't really help. It's not, and it's not anyone here. That's incorrect. No matter how strictly precautions are taken, no matter how high security is, if there's a sleeper agent present, then the terrorist plot could succeed. But they don't need to. They just need to plant some bomb. Although I guess, yeah, that would be one of the sleeper agents. Then I guess planted the fire extinguisher bombs. So please, Mom, take all personnel outside of the facility right away and don't let anyone inside. It is super close. I mean, it's a bit past 6, but whatever. I know I'm asking the impossible, but there's no other way. Can we see you actually here? No, can't really tell. It's too blurry. But there's no other way. Once he had focused that far, his 5 senses returned. Alright! Natsuko was confident he successfully invoked telepathy. And right after that, he received telepathy from Mashiro. Hey Natsuko, I sent Takao telepathy, but I can't sense that it got to her. How can you tell? The security guard looked at Natsuko suspiciously after he inadvertently spoke out loud. Tell what? No, it's nothing. As Natsuko panicked to smooth things over, Mashiro continued with telepathy. Once you get used to it, you can use empathy to confirm successful transmission. But something's odd. There's no response at all. Well, I guess, yeah, they wouldn't know that there's similar to the school isolating things here. Oh, and they take like the AD alone desire thing that kind of just cancels the whole thing out. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Right, what? Did something happen to Mom? No, she's just using a thing that disables the brain BC organ thingy, whatever the fuck that was, I forget. Natsuko was hit by an unpleasant premonition as he looked towards the entrance. And then, suddenly, memories from 9 years ago came back in his mind. The accident! Come on. It was July 7th, 2021. The memory of when he and Yuri had sneaked into this facility. At the time, security was lax. Tell me about 7-year-old kids can just waltz in here. They had stowed away on a transport truck and hid behind the security guard to get into the entrance. Again, total lack of passive perception. Fucking hell. All staff seemed to be underground as there was no human presence in the entrance. The fuck? Really? So this is Labo, eh? Natsuko looked around and beside him, Yuri whispered. Hey, Hikori, we need to be more sneaky. What are you talking about, Yuri? You agreed to do this, didn't you? We said we'd save Mom since she's always being swamped with work. Aww, that's adorable. Save Mom from her work. Aww. Good kids. They're good kids. Yeah, I know, but that was the reason Natsuko and Yuri had sneaked into Labo. At the time, Dr. Tenka was already a core member of the Labo research team and would always work late into the night. In Natsuko's eyes, she looked like she was being forced to work. This is a mission of justice to save Mom. So we need to carry ourselves with dignity. But they'll get mad at us when we get caught. You're kids. You're such a scaredy cat. Come on, let's go. You can hold my hand. And Natsuko gripped Yuri's hand tight and walked further inside. Mom told me that she works in the basement in Area 5. She said it's a place only top professors can go. So first we need to find the staircase that goes to the basement, eh? It's gotta be behind that door. Let's go, Yuri. And back then, their path was blockaded by an iron door as well. Huh? It won't open? How do you think we open it? How would they open it? It's a good question. They do manage it, but why were they able to go to the basement back then? God, these little errors, they trip me up. Gotta fix them manually, automatically in my brain. I can't catch them as quickly as I should. As soon as Natsuko pondered that detail, flashing back to current. His brain is attacking him. An intense shock suddenly ran through his head, interrupting his thoughts. He heard the security guard's dubious voice coming from far away. Natsuko leaned against the wall, unable to stand the intense pain. Natsuko, what's wrong? Do you feel bad? My head. Okay. Interesting. What's happening? He felt as if something were clamping down on his head. It happened when he tried to remember what happened 9 years ago. Why? Why does my head hurt so much? No, I don't care. I need to remember. Something's off here, isn't it? Even if the security system has changed from how it was in the past, the structure of the facility itself wouldn't change too, would it? No, it wouldn't. It's infrastructure that takes a while. Why were we able to go to the basement? Back then, neither Natsuko nor Yuri had a security card. And yet when they messed around with the card slot in an attempt to open the door... That's right, if I'm not mistaken, back then there was an alarm. As he tried to remember, another headache struck. Natsuko staggered, unable to bear it. And that moment, he heard a tremendous roar beneath his feet. What? 619, there it is. Natsuko fell to the ground as if a rug had been pulled from under him. He heard something shatter by his wrist. Oh yeah, the watch is broken now. But the roaring sounds kept coming. Convergence. Masha screamed from beside him. They could feel tremors coming through the floor. Coming from the floor. Well, everything is blowing the fuck. What was that sound? It's explosions, dude. I guess you're not an ex-JSDF member. The security guard muttered in shock. You would know explosions, wouldn't you? The kids were well aware of what it was. Explosions? Several of them. Natsuko, could this be? Yes, it is. And 6 minutes later, or 7 minutes later, the terrorists will arrive to enact their plan. Natsuko gritted his teeth at those words, but they will be stopped somehow. Yeah, it is. 2 of them will die, and 1 of them will effectively die by having his memories sealed away and effectively having amnesia. He endured the pain to stand up and wring words out of his lungs, but how does that happen? How does Natsuko seal away his memories? And how do those 2 die? Because the kids ain't gonna kill them. They're not murderers. Like, the story's not gonna, tack, direct murder onto their hands. It's just not gonna. We didn't make it in time. His words were drowned out by the shrill shriek of an alarm. Intense tremors detected in B1 Area 1. Intense tremors detected in B2 Area 4. Fires broken in B1 Area 2. Tremors detected in B2 Area 2. The automatic disaster prevention system rang out a flurry of warning broadcasts. A mechanical or robotic voice. An unending stream of fragmentary information. But regardless, everyone could tell that an unprecedented crisis was upon this facility. It's the same as 9 years ago. The same alarm, these same warnings rang out back then too. The moment Natsuko made that realization, another memory came back. Hell yes, memories. Let's put all the pieces together. Yes, fire, yada yada yada. Fires everywhere. Natsuko and Yuri heard those warnings as they stood in front of their iron door. What happened? A fire. Oh no, there's a fire down below. A fire down below. Mom's in danger. Go, go, go. As Natsuko yelled, the automatic announcement continued. Security has shifted to evacuation mode. All gates, barring those leading to Area N, have been opened. All personnel, please calmly evacuate to the surface levels. So that's it. Back then was just a fire alarm, but the situation was similar. Once Natsuko made the connection, he heard the same announcement as he did 9 years ago. Security has shifted to evacuation mode. All gates barring those leading to Area N have been opened. All personnel, please calmly evacuate to the surface levels. And at the same time, the iron door opened up further down the entrance. I wonder if the K-Sen is related to the telepathy and stuff like that. No, not yet. It is something to... No, it definitely shifts because of something that Natsuko is going to do with his powers. Gonna trigger the K-Sen, isn't it? And in the same way, the iron door opened up 9 years ago. A fire down below, but Mom's down there. Well, what do we do, Hikarin? I gotta go save her. Wait right there, Yuri. Natsuko yelled that command as he rushed through to the other side of the door. God, going back and forth. And the same thing, I gotta go, or else things will take a turn for the worse. Natsuko tried to run off, but the security guard grabbed his arm. Hold on a sec, kid. What do you mean, for the worse? Officer, this isn't the time for you to mind us. Well, it kinda is. He shouldn't let you go down there. It's where danger is. It's evacuation to the ground floor. This is the ground floor. He's doing his job. What? This is a terrorist attack. Call the police and the fire department immediately. Oh, terrorist attack? No way. Natsuko shook off the confused security guard's arm and dashed off. The terrorists had the sleeper agent cause a commotion in the facility so that the gates would open. At this rate, it's just a repeat of what happened 9 years ago. No, something far worse. Wait, Natsuko, where are you going? To the basement. The basement, but the explosions. You two stay here, no matter what happens. Don't you dare move from this spot. But no. Fuck you. They're on equal ground here, dude. They're coming with you. Saying just that much, Natsuko plunged toward the iron door. He searched for a nearby staircase and ran down. As he descended the staircase, he heard the screams of Labo staff members off in the distance. What happened? I don't know. Are those explosions? Explosions in this facility? The basement floors were already engulfed in dreadful chaos. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. Where are the terrorists? Where did they set the bombs? You're working on zero information again, though. As he looked around with that in mind, he noticed Nashra and Luis right behind him. Well, duh. What are you doing? Why did you come down here? Because what do you expect to do alone, dude? You're literally no different from Mashiro, and like you're weaker and less competent than Luis. What the fuck did you expect to do with your heart of justice, yeah? Like that's it, that's all you have. The heart of justice. You don't actually have anything useful to contribute here that makes you really stand out. So come on now, fuck off. Besides, we already had this conversation earlier, like, the same thing, like, no, I'm gonna do this on my own. No, we're coming with you. That kind of stuff, like, literally the same thing. We should ask you the same thing. Where do you think you're going all by yourself? It's dangerous to go alone. Exactly. Take these two. I know, but there's no buts here, dude. As soon as Natsuko began to speak, another memory of the past came to him. Damn, we're just blitzing through his now. It was the same back then. Yuri had followed him even though he had told her to wait for him. Yuri, you can't come. There's a fire, you know. You're younger than her. I want to save the professor too, okay? She's like a mother. I don't want to sit by and wait while you and the professor are in danger, okay? Yeah, correct. Yeah, Yuri sounded somehow different from you. She's determined. That's how. That was the first time he had heard such a powerful voice from her. So the Natsuko 9 years ago, okay, ended up answering that way. Then let's go together. Let's both save Mom. Yee. And you're gonna end up answering the same way this time. Why is everything repeating itself? Because that's, you know, it's right. Fuck, I forgot the dumb George Lucas quote. It rhymes, it's sort of like poetic or something like that. Whatever, about the prequels. Well, anyway. It didn't seem like a mere coincidence, but something tinged with fate. What happened afterward went down 9 years ago. When he tried to remember, he was struck by another intense headache. So yeah, he is the subject who they did something to lock his memories away, I guess. Maybe it's still not certain about that. The documents were vague. Ow! Headache. Natsuko, do you have a headache again? He does. Are you okay, Natsuko? Hang in there. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by the OBS little audio mixer lines. It sometimes seems to have some noises from the microphone that shouldn't be there. It's odd. I'm not sure what that's about, and I'm not sure how well they pick up on the actual stream and the recording. I guess I'll just have to... I'll find out later. They seem low, though. They should be inaudible for the most part. Anyway, the headache made him nauseous. Each time he tried to invoke his memory, he was struck by this pain. Damn it, is my desire not to remember really that bad? It should be obvious to me what happened after that, shouldn't it? He got caught in the fire with Yuri and almost died. But there's no way I can yield to that fear. The moment that thought crossed his mind, he heard another explosion from nearby. Slam. Natsuko promptly covered Mashiro and Luis. 1 second later, a blazing wind shot by. Ow. And the kids were blown away. Heightened readings confirmed in Area N. Emergency shutdown system has been initiated. All personnel, including those in the Area N control room, please evacuate to the surface levels immediately. Are you two okay? They slowly got up after having fallen on top of each other. Yeah. I'm okay. The two groaned, but they appeared to be uninjured. Thank goodness. Though relieved, Natsuko searched for the origin of the explosion. The explosion sounded like it came from the direction of the staircase they just descended. No way. Yes way. Ahaha. Natsuko gasped and dashed for the staircase. But... damn it. What was waiting for them was the collapsed ruins of a staircase. They destroyed the staircase? Yes, strategically placed fire extinguishers. But there wasn't anyone here, so how? If you're gonna attack a facility like this, you plan for it very, very thoroughly. Properly. For a long time. Damn it, this is all they're doing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It was the very same trick they used at the PRC. The sleeper agent carried in a time bomb and set it in the facility. And probably not just one bomb, but several. Oh yeah. I mean, you already heard a bunch, at least like 4 or 5 explosions. They've destroyed the exit. We're trapped in the basement. How could the situation have gotten this bad? Because you're up against competent people, for the most part competent, but not bloodthirsty enough for my liking. Like, come on. They should, like, if they were properly willing to commit mass murder, you three would be dead. But oh well. Oh well. Wouldn't have much of a story then. I wouldn't have written in a way where it would have been captured then. So, what do we do, Natsuko? I don't know. How the fuck should he know? Natsuko gritted his teeth and looked at his watch. He wanted to know just how much time they had left. Huh? But his watch had broken before he realized it. Apparently, he had slammed onto the floor when the first explosion knocked him over. The watch's date had stopped at 9:16, its hands at 6:19. At a time he'd likely never forget for the rest of his life. Oh yeah, if only we had gotten here just a little bit sooner. And what would you have done differently? How would that, like, that literally wouldn't have changed anything though. It literally didn't matter when they arrived. But even if they were late, there was still meaning in their arrival. Like, you wouldn't have stopped this. You didn't know anything about the timed bombs and the fire extinguishers. You couldn't possibly know that at all. There's literally nothing these kids could have done to stop this. Like, yeah, nothing. Nothing. Natsuko tried to walk off unsteadily, but Mashiro grabbed his hand. All they can do is react and stop future problems. Hold it, Natsuko. Where do you think you're going in a crisis like this? I'm gonna find those bastards. They're not here yet. Like, that's the thing. They're not here yet. Wait, Natsuko. You don't mean... And even if you do, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna put an end to their plan. I can still do something. I mean, their plan has already succeeded. Effectively. No, you can't. Natsuko. Calm down. Why? You agreed that we should come here, didn't you, Mashiro? To warn... Yes, to warn people and to get the ones who can do something to do something. You can't do anything. Well, yet. You're gonna have to get into a confrontation with the head terrorist, with Asaka Asagi, to unlock your potential. The situation's completely changed. It's too late now. It's never too late. I'm sure I can still make it. Make it for what? To what? Besides, even if we do run, it's not gonna change anything. So in that case... The moment those words left his lips, a sharp pain ran through his cheeks. There we go, slap this idiot. Mashiro had slapped him. Good. Do you want to suffer another loss that badly? Those words gouged out Natsuhiko's heart. And then another roar rang out. Another explosion. Everywhere. Basically everywhere. Please, Natsuko, let's get out of here already. You can't, though. Masho's bleeding voice caused Natsuko's heart to waver. The current situation was progressing as if it were following the incident 9 years ago to a T. Natsuko didn't want to repeat the same mistakes he had made that time. He didn't want any of the people precious to him to suffer again. Holding those convictions in his heart, he forced himself to speak. You're gonna fail at that, by the way. Very, very hard. Louis gets shot, Masha also gets shot and is left to bleed out to almost death. So, you're still just a kid. Like, what do you expect to do? The only reason you can do something is because you got superpowers. And the conviction of a hero. Okay, let's look for a way out of here first. Masha and Luis's faces relaxed in relief at those words. I'll lead the way. Luis, you take the rear. Let's work under the assumption that we will come across the terrorists. Roger. Okay. The three of them ran off with tense looks in their face, so... The question is, Yuri, how the fuck is she here? Why? And how? And like, what is she? Like, in what format is she here? I'm still holding on to the idea that she's an astral projection. Back home, yes. Because we did see that this place has a bedroom, like a girl's bedroom, in the initial bit of the After Days route. So that's where she lives. She hasn't left this facility in 9 years. That's my conviction. Let's find out. As the ran, Natsuko glanced at his broken watch. At the only present he ever received from his mother. Oh, really? She kind of stopped at that? Well, I guess it was very sentimental and important. Fair enough. There's something I need to do before I escape. His mother was likely still inside the facility. Well, yeah, that's important. We were too late to stop the terrorist attack, but at the very least, I want to ensure an escape route for Masho, Luis, and his mother. That was Natsuko's earnest wish. Let's look for another staircase. There has to be a safe one somewhere. No, there doesn't have to be one. No, there does not have to be one. Do you know the layout of the facility? No, I obviously can't remember all the details. Then we should look into it first. It's dangerous to run blindly without an escape plan. And with that, Luis dashed into a nearby room. It was a laboratory devoid of any people. Luis looked for a computer that was left on and connected Alice to it. Luis, what are you doing? She's being smart and competent, that's what. And thinking on her feet. I'm looking up a map of the facility, though I'm not sure if there is one. There literally should be a map, like every now and then in the corridors, a fire escape map. Obviously, that's like basic regulations. It's like one of the standard things in every, building, especially of this size. Alice, start command. Search all network files. Search with high priority on terms synonymous with map and chart, and with low priority on facility, labo, and lab. Check for password protected files and folders and access them. Download all relevant files. End command. Key. Alice's back opened, exposing her screen. The screen displayed a list of all the files she had downloaded. Louise skimmed through them with her fingertip. Please be there. There has, it's one of the basic information bits. Right after Masha prayed to her for her to find the map, Luis's eyes widened. This is it. Probably. I mean, is it hexagonal in shape? Then yes. The kids peeked at the screen to see a hexagonal map. There it is. Yeah, that's it, no doubt. Just like the ground levels, the basement floors were also hexagonal, apparently divided into 7 areas technically. Luis pointed at the top of the map. Judging by the placement of the entrance, we are currently here in Area 1's outer ring B1. I think that last broken staircase we saw was the outer ring emergency staircase. Looks like there's an inner ring emergency staircase nearby too. Just as Mashra had said, each area apparently had an emergency staircase and an elevator. Standard regulation should be there. Okay, so let's head there first. The kids nodded at each other and ran out of the room. They crossed through the connecting passageway and headed to the inner ring. En route to the passageway, there was what appeared to be one of those security gates that the security guard had mentioned. but it was left wide open, evacuation mode. But once they reached the inner ring, fires, obviously, it was engulfed in fire. Fire? How'd the fire break out here so fast? It's a terrorist attack. Was it because of the explosions? Obviously, it was planned. Come on. No, it would be way too fast for that to have been the cause. They might have brought incendiary bombs as well and set one here. Don't tell me it was here to prevent the people from escaping the facility. Why not? It's too dangerous here. Let's look for another path. Natsuko grabbed the girl's hands and retreated to the passageway. Their escape routes were quickly crumbling down one by one. Masher, Luis, there was an elevator on the map too. Go see if it's still usable. What about you, Natsuko? I'll go check if the path to Area 2 is safe. Roger, be careful. Natsuko split from the girls for the time being. First, we need to ensure the escape route. If there's a safe emergency staircase, I can get them out through there. With that thought in mind, Natsuko walked into the connecting passageway to Area 2. But then he doubted his eyes. Hello, Yuri. Eh? There she stood. The girl who was supposed to be waiting for them at home. Yuri. Now she lives here. Yuri? Yeah, how? Well, come on, answer. I need answers. How are you here? Why are you here? Natsuko's voice cracked as it escaped from his mouth. He couldn't believe what his eyes were telling him. I thought she wasn't able to take a single step out from the house. Natsuko gazed at her in shock and... Hikori, why did you come here? Yeah, she lives here. She muttered sadly. What about you, Yuri? Why are you here? You left home. Right after Natsuko asked that question, for some reason, he remembered. His memories of the last few days came rushing back into his mind. Yeah, we've been through that. Yes, indeed, we've been through that bit for a while now. For the past, what was like 16 hours? Visions of the events of September 10th up until today spun rapidly through his mind like the illustrations on a revolving lantern. And the present. And then disappeared, because we caught up. What? Natsuko had no idea what happened. Yuri gazed at him in confusion. So that's what happened. She read your memories. Okay. Well, yeah, we know she can do the memory things. She's got a special ability. Her expression was somehow sad, yet she smiled as if a weight had been taken off her shoulders. What does that even mean? So, I guess my theory was wrong as well? What? There was something clearly strange about that exchange. It was almost as if Yuri had read Natsuko's mind, not as if that is exactly what happened. The same sort of thing happened a few days before, too. Don't tell me Yuri's actually... Of course she is. But before he could finish that thought, a flash flickered beside them. Natsuko swiftly lunged at Yuri, and not a second later, a shockwave struck them. Ow. Natsuko and Yuri were blown away. In the split second before they hit the ground, a vision of that fateful morning rose up from the back of his mind. That morning, 6 days ago, September 10th, 2030. His memory of that day back when everything was still peaceful. What you talking about? Dreadful incidents don't just happen on the other side of the TV screen. Oh, this is another one of those sentences. It's like, it only happened, it also happens to me. Oh, come on, you are fiction. You are behind the TV screen. Come on. Stop with those. Never use these kind of sentences, ever. Let's go. Was that PC? Hopefully I'm just being a little paranoid. No, I probably am. No, you're not. Turns out you are right. Peace and quiet really is the best. There's no point putting yourself in danger. Those memories led to the end of September 10th. Yuri looked at Natsuko and spoke. I think a lot of things will start happening to you from now on, Hikorin. Okay, that's ominous. Fun things, painful things, and things you cannot overcome without courage. Also, this is a very pretty image here. All the lighting and the shadows and everything else, like the blue of the light. Very, very nice. Fun things, painful things, and things you cannot overcome without courage. But they're all things you surely mustn't avoid. As he recalled those memories, Natsuko passed out. Well, okay. Alright. You're messing with me now, story? What the fuck is happening? And thus began that curious cyclic recursion of a reminiscence and a reality. After a vivid recollection of the events of September 10th, Natsuko woke up. Natsuko told Mashiro and Luis how he had met up with Yuri. We still didn't get an answer on how she's here, why she's here. I only have my own theories for so far. God damn it. Now let's come to it. Let's take Yuri with us so all four of us can escape together. Yee. Luis, did the Area 1 elevator look functional? Fuck no. Unfortunately not. Looks like the LAs are out of service. Our only escape route is to find a safe emergency staircase. Good luck with that, you'll fail. Let's go then. Area 2's up ahead. Natsuko ran off with the girls. But their path was blocked by a security gate. And in front of the closed gate, Natsuko recalled the events of the 11th. Yeah, we know. That day now. Quick stuff. What do you mean, come again? You told me to show you my hand, remember? Do you agree BC is dangerous if handled improperly? Indeed it is. What are you talking about? I'm just copying what you did back in the day. I was sent here to protect you after all. Alright, getting a quick recap that I'm not sure explains much, but whatever. At the end of that reminiscence, Natsuko returned to reality once more. They pried the gate open and dashed into Area 2, where they came across men in protection suits. Hello, Hiyama and Dojima. For a second, they had thought that the rescue squad had come to save them. Nah, it's terrorists. But Luis flung the men to the ground. Smack! That sounded like a sound effect from like a 90s fighting video game or something like that. That was nice. Luis, why? Natsuko, Mashiro, you guys are too soft. You let your guards down too quick. Why are you so quick to trust people? Because, that's... For a moment, Natsuko had no idea what was happening, but then he recalled what happened on the 12th. Okay, yes. He woke up, that same dream again. What we see isn't everything, and everything we see isn't necessarily real. There we go, that's an important sentence. If it's all true, that means the world I see and the world you see could actually be completely different, doesn't it? Now this is irrelevant, yes. It looked to me like everyone had fun today. Did you have fun, Natsuko? And then just, like, something nice to remember. I guess once he saw those memories, Natsuko understood Luis's intention. Those were memories of the day that they made friends with Luis, and she would knock out the rescue squad members without a good reason. In other words, the men inside those protection suits were the terrorists they were looking for. You would have been better off not noticing that. The terrorist slowly rose to his feet as he spoke. As the others in the group stiffened up, Luis yelled, Natsuko, Mashiro, run! I'll get rid of him. The other one's fainted, so I can manage one-on-one combat. You guys go find an exit. If you find one, contact me through telepathy. Natsuko hesitated, but what Luis said was right. Luis, it's a promise. We will get out of here. Together. We'll find an exit and wait for you, okay? Natsuko turned and fled with Yuri and Mashiro. They slipped through the passageway and to the thing, and headed to the emergency staircase in Area 3's inner ring. But even the once safe staircase was now blown up and rendered unusable. If they couldn't find an exit, should they rejoin with Luis and help her fight the terrorists? It's been minutes. A fight's over. Once that thought crossed Natsuko's mind, Yuri raised her voice. No, Hikaru, remember what it is you need to do. What is your duty? There's something you need to do first, remember? I thought I told you back on the day too. The moment she told him that, he recalled the events of the 13th. You're late, Natsuko. I've already finished preparing breakfast too. All of your thoughts, intentions, feelings, and memories are more than just conceptual existences. There's apparently been an increase in those that harbor anti-communicative sentiments in town lately. So we're the only ones who've noticed this, aren't we? There's nothing we can do to thwart him, is there? I can't count on you for anything anymore, Natsuko. Goodbye. Goodbye. And that reminiscence taught Natsuko what it was that he should do right now. Natsuko didn't believe Mashiro when she first talked about the terrorist plot. The current situation was the result of his disbelief. Not really. I mean, not really. Even if you believed her from the start, you wouldn't have really managed to do anything about it. Then what I need to do first is to get Mashiro and the others out of here. Is there any way at all to climb this thing? If I can at least get Mashiro and the others out, then selfless sacrifice. But at that moment, a small figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Hello, Luis. I'm sorry, it was an embarrassing defeat. The third guy appeared, he had a gun. It's not your fault. Luis was shot and wounded by the terrorists. There were at least 3 of them. They had incredible physiques and apparently even a gun. All we can do is run. Dr. Tenkawa already managed to escape. As Luis reassured him, Natsuko called out to her. Okay, Luis, then come down here. Let's escape together. No, I can't climb down with this arm. I think it'd be difficult for you guys to climb up too. So let's split up and escape separately. No, will you be okay by yourself, Luis? She's fine, she got shot and still got away. I will, but there's no time to speak my reasoning. So let's use BC. Once she said that, Natsuko used empathy right away. And soon enough, Luis's mental voice echoed in Natsuko's head. Her clear, high-speed thought process allowed her to convey everything to them, in a matter of mere moments. It seems they have abandoned all efforts to maintain appearances. I believe that the next time we come across them, they'll shoot us on sight. Our chances of escape in these circumstances are unclear, but I'll ensure our escape despite the odds. Because I still want to live with you all. Aww. This might be irrational of me, but when I think about living with you all, a strong will surges inside me. It even lets me forget about the pain in my arm. I finally found life interesting for once. I don't want it to end like this. I truly enjoyed these past 6 days. It's only been 6 days of that, right? Natsuko, thank you for praising my cooking. It was the first time I had ever cooked. Mashiro, thank you for giving me this nickname. I really liked it. I despise it though. So we're in a disagreement there. Yuri, it's a little late now, but I want to know more about you. These are my true feelings, what I've always wanted to tell you all. If I had one wish, it would be to have another meal at that house. We'll get that. We'll get that in the epilogue. We better get that in the epilogue. Come on now. Give me a happy ending to this. And by then, I'm sure I could make food that's even more delicious, so... She got that far with her thoughts before stopping with a faint smile. Luis. Something warm filled Natsuko's chest. Yuri and Mashiro murmured in trembling voices. Luis. Me too, Luis. Mashiro, and perhaps Yuri, seemed to have read Luis's mind. She was really that thankful for such a small gesture. Well, it's important to her, so... Luis's feelings were so innocent that he didn't want to part with her. But nevertheless, Natsuko forced himself to smile as he called out to her. Okay, leave these 2 to me. Promise me one more thing, that we'll all live long enough to meet again on the outside. Promise. And with that, Luis disappeared. Let's go, you 2. We need to keep our promise to Luis. Mashiro and Yuri nodded meekly, and then they ran once again. The broadcast had said that the staircases in Area 5 and 6 were safe. Doesn't really matter. Bulkheads. But once they left Area 3 and approached Area 4's outer ring, they found it was wreathed in flames. They somehow managed to pass through and reach the next connecting passageway, but even more flames. There was yet another fire blocking their way. The terrorists were chasing from behind. There was no escape. And they fell into despair. As they fell into despair, visions of the 14th suddenly flickered before Natsuhiko's eyes. Memories. We've just received the report that the dangerous object was set inside school grounds. You guys believe me, right? Well, I've heard that unrest has been spreading through this whole town lately. There they are, after them. Okay, if all 3 of us give it our best, then there's nothing to be scared of. Recalling the memories and stuff like that to do something. Those were the memories of the day Natsuko's daily life collapsed. That was the day where there was a bomb threat at school, They heard about Q. They trespassed into the PRC. They got chased by the security department. Lots of excitement there. And finally, that was the day he swore to protect the town with Mashira and Luis. He swore to protect it even if it meant having to be away from Yuri. But in the end, Yuri still got dragged into the affair and was now standing in front of Natsuko. How did she get here? Come on, give me the answer. I only have theories. That day inspired Natsuko, both through the regret he had for getting the girls involved and through the courage those girls had given him. Hey, Hikarin, think hard about the path you should take. Those words fanned the fire burning in Natsuhiko's heart. The heart of hearts. And the cards as well. But there ain't no cards here. That's right, I need to be stronger. Or else I have no hope of overcoming the past. Natsuko grabbed Mashiro by the hand. Don't give up. Let's go, Mashiro. Where? Let's take a different path. This isn't the only way to Area 5. Inspired by the memory of that long day, Natsuko took Yuri and Mashiro and ran. They slipped once again through the roaring flames enveloping Area 4. And took an alternate route to Area 5. But as soon as they set foot there, a warning rang out. Ah, yes. A case N has just been detected. Did the sensors finally pick up Natsuhiko's aptitude or what? Damn, we still don't know what triggered this. They've been using their psychic powers, psychokinetic powers for a while now, so it's like, it's not that. What triggered it? God damn. In accordance with this emergency, security has shifted to blockade mode, locking down all gates and bulkheads. All facility personnel, please administer AD, take shelter in the nearest room, and stay in place. And with that automated broadcast, the security gates shut down. And what's the meaning of this? It just explained everything. We've been locked inside the building. There appeared to be no exits anywhere. In a daze, Natsuko's mind suddenly recalled his memories of the 15th. In the karaoke box. Ready, guys? I'm ready when you are. But until all work is complete, it'd be best if I avoided him. Number 5. If you communicate USB-C without doing it the proper way, they will eventually turn into a mind-broken monster. Okay. It's a national fortress, established by the state to protect communicators like you. Fortress begs to be attacked. The incidents aren't over yet. Of course not. There's been such a spike in the sheer number of incidents alone that it just feels unnatural. I can't get these kids involved too. Self-righteousness just leads to self-destruction. Let's just put you kids to sleep for now. Alright. Remember. The 15th of September. Those were memories of the day Natsuko found the truth and truly began to face his path. The day Anna told him about the true history of their country and the details of the organization known as Q. The day they caught the culprit behind the PRC bombing and learned that Labo was the next target. And finally, the day they finally confronted the terrorists but were defeated. The resentment, anger and bitterness he felt that day rose once again in his heart. That's right. That was only a few hours ago, wasn't it? Indeed, it was. The regret I felt back then brought me here. As that thought crossed Natsuko's mind, Yuri softly whispered beside him. Hikarin, you've remembered, haven't you? Not everything yet. We still need to get details on the incident. And... goddammit. And what about Yuri? Yuri, what the fuck are you? Come on now, give me the answers. You've overcome several obstacles to get here. You've obtained the strength you need to overcome the past. Sure. No matter what happens from now on, your mind will endure. You should be able to overcome anything. Yes, revert back basically to the mind of a 7-year-old. To overcome... troubles, I guess. Those words fortified Natsuko's mind even further. Mashiro, we can't give up yet. There has to be a way out. There isn't. But we can't go anywhere because the gate won't open. No. We'll search for the security card. As long as we have the right card, we can go to Area 6. Right after the alarm went off, the whole facility went into mass panic. It wouldn't be strange if a staff member had forgotten their cards somewhere, I swear I'll find the card and get these two girls out of here if it's the last thing I do. Oh, yeah, we've been through this before already. Natsuko held that conviction and began the search for a security card. And as reminiscence and reality converged, Natsuko progressed bit by bit. And in the room he arrived in, Natsuko discovered a certain something. Yes, his mom's office. Huh? Oh, is there a picture of me here? He also found a file labeled with the year 2021. Without thinking, he took it down and started turning through it. The answer just might be in here. As soon as that thought crossed his mind, he felt someone's presence. He looked up in shock to find Yuri standing by the room's entrance. Yuri, what are you? Did you send me into this room because you knew about this? Did I send you? No, Hikarin, you chose this room yourself. We came into this room 9 years ago too, didn't we? To escape the fire and smoke. You couldn't find a card back then, but this time you can find one for sure. Look for it, and escape with Mashiron. What about you? It's ominous words. That's an ominous choice of words. What are you, Yuri? The fuck? All the way back from the intro cinematic, no, like the opening video thing. Yuri, the girl who doesn't belong. Okay. The fuck is she? Also, yes, you do belong. You're a family to these lot. So, like, they're gonna take you out here just because you're some case N whatever entity. Doesn't fucking matter. You're a good kid. With Mushroom, what about you, Yuri? I can't go with you. Why not? Haven't you realized it already? Hikarin, try to remember what it was you saw and heard today. For the truth lies in those observations. The moment Yuri said that, Natsuko realized something. She already said that just now. Indeed, Natsuko had recalled everything that happened up to that very moment. He had recalled all his memories this morning from waking up in the ruined factory to entering this very room. What the fuck is happening? At the end of his long reminiscence, time had caught up with reality. It's literally right now. And at the same time, an intense anxiety welled up from within him. What is this? It wasn't because he had kept recalling things. Oh, maybe Yuri is a manifestation of his mind. Maybe she died back then. That could be a thing as well. Oh, let's see if I'm right on that. While that was indeed strange and he didn't know why it was happening, there was something far stranger. In his memories of just a few hours ago, something felt bizarrely out of place. Yuri's the bizarre out of place thing. Earlier, when Yuri said the truth lies in those observations, it sent intense tremors in Natsuhiko's mind. Strange, something strange. His headache got even worse. It gave him the feeling that he mustn't think any further about that matter. No, you must. You must remember what happened 9 years ago, the instant what the fuck happened then. You're obligated to give us answers on that. You can't just keep talking about it and not actually showing us what exactly happened to the full extent. What the fuck is Yuri? What happened to her back then? What is she right now? Answer me. However, Natsuko's gaze fell onto the file in his hands. The file labeled 2021 that was in his mother's care. She died, didn't she? He flipped through the chronologically organized documents, and eventually, one page in particular caught Natsuko's eye. The paper was dated July 7, 2021, the day Natsuko and Yuri got caught in an accident. The page contained clippings of newspaper articles. Oh, maybe her parents didn't die and they just left because their daughter's dead. Fire at Nuclear Research Facility, July 7, 2021. Today, at 1 p.m., a fire broke out at the Rokume City's Nuclear Research Facility, the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization. 15 staff members and children were hospitalized for burns and carbon monoxide poisoning. In addition, there was one casualty. The name of the deceased was Koki Sumida, 36, a staff member at the facility. Sumida suffered full-body burns and died shortly after he was rescued and taken outside the facility. The disaster developed to the point where 2 other children were rendered unconscious and are in critical condition. The facility announced that their small nuclear reactor intended for research was in use, but the effects of the fire posed no danger or causing radiation leakage. The cause of the fire is unknown, but police officials are investigating the possibility of arson. Natsuko's heart throbbed in pain as he finished reading the article. Okay, incomplete information. He had a terribly bad feeling about the next document, but still he flipped the page. Come on, what'd you do? What did you do to her parents? What did you do to her? What happened? God damn it. Next was what appeared to be an internal Labo document concerning the incident. Juicy stuff. I love this. Alright. Labo fire incident, July 10th, 2021. Alright. This is gonna be intense and important, so let's full focus mode. Breathe in and breathe out. All relevant parties are most likely already aware of the fire that occurred in this facility 3 days ago, July 7th, 2021. Although the worst possible outcome was averted at the last moment, there were inadequacies found in multiple security systems. This document contains a compilation of problems hinted at by this incident. The cause of the fire lies in the deranged actions of Senior Fellow S, Sumida, then, must be. Sumida had been appointed as an administrator of Area 0 on April 12th. Area 0? That's below Area N, isn't it? That's that one, isn't it? As a result, he had quite a great number of opportunities to come into contact with the research results in Area 0. Okay. And about 3 months later, Sumida committed his crime. He took the power generator gasoline stored in Area 0 and scattered it at 6 points throughout Labo. He used time lighters to set them all on fire and intentionally caused the WX particle amplifier to go haywire at the same time. He also unlocked the gates to Area N and Area 0. He is believed to have committed the arson in order to escape with certain research results during the fire. To escape with Yuri. She's the research result. She was born here, wasn't she? Though this is nothing more than a guess, seeing as how Sumida is now dead, the possibility of this is quite high. Furthermore, these research results shall be designated as N amongst all senior fellows to conceal the irrelevant details. Also, while this is not directly related to the incident, 2 children infiltrated the facility on the day of the incident at the most unfortunate time. It is simply unacceptable for children to have found and exploited a hole in our security. This is quite frankly the epitome of carelessness for our security systems. And 2 lives were lost as a result. 2. There it is. Official publication, only Sumida died. And we must all learn a lesson from this incident. Strengthening Area 0 security alone doesn't guarantee us any safety whatsoever. There is an urgent need to have the specifications of our Case N reviewed and for the security systems to be enhanced. Otherwise, we may foresee yet another repeat of this tragedy. 6th Laboratory of Atomic Biological Organization Security Chief Isao Kawada. 2 dead. Aha, they concealed one. So who was the other death? It was Yuri, wasn't it? The more he continued reading, the more Natsuko's heart pounded like an alarm bell. The document was littered with initialisms and cryptic terminology, but there was one thing he could understand clearly. The cause of the incident Natsuko and Yuri had encountered was arson committed by a facility staff member. The incident 9 years ago and the incident today were no accidents. So is that why there have been so many coincidences? But there was far more important detail in the document. Yes. 2 lives were lost as a result. Natsuko felt an absurd anxiety over those words. One of those, the ones who died 9 years ago, was the arsonist Senior Fellow S, Sumida. Then who was the other life lost? Come on now. It can't be. It is. It can't be. It is. Yuri's been dead for 9 years now, and you can't let go. She exists as a consciousness. Voices echoed inside his head, telling him, stop, don't read anymore. Now you must. You must. We've been at this for too long to not know. An unbearable pain ran through his head. Read on. Read on. Come on now. But Natsuko shook it off and turned the page. Come on. Victim count rises for nuclear research facility fire, July 9th, 2021. Out of the 15 staff members and children hospitalized due to the fire in Norcome City's nuclear research facility, the 6th Laboratory of Atomic and Biological Organization, another casualty was confirmed. The deceased child was Yuri Kotono. Knew it. Fucking called it. Well, I mean, okay. We had to get a lot of additional information before that, but that was an obvious one. Once you got a little bit more context, pay attention. At the time of the incident, Yuri was sent to a city hospital unconscious and in critical condition. She was put under intensive care but never regained consciousness. She passed away in the early hours of the morning. Yuri's cause of death was multiple organ failure due to carbon monoxide poisoning. According to both the facility and the hospital, her illness was not due to radiation exposure. Finally remembering the thing. A moan squeezed out from the bottom of his throat. A single line from the article jumped out and bored its way forcibly into his eyes. The deceased child was Yuri Kotna. Come on now, remember the full details, the true story. His mind went blank at those words. His body trembled. He couldn't think. He couldn't understand. But soon enough, in the depths of that white darkness, the memories of 9 years ago came rushing back to Natsuka. Fuck yes. Finally, Yuri, are you okay? Yeah, the true extent of the tragedy. Been waiting like 40 hours for this one. Or something like that, ever since I heard about the incident, I guess. Only like 15, 17 hours ago. Yuri answered with painful breaths. That day, Natsuka and Yuri had trespassed all the way to B1 Area 5. But once they got there, the path was a sea of fire. Flames danced about everywhere, shrouding the facility in smoke. They didn't seem to have very long before they'd be surrounded by fire. What do we do? At this rate, Yuri's gonna... They searched everywhere in Area 5, but they could not find Natsuka's mother. Perhaps she had already escaped without waiting for them. In that case, we have to hurry and get out of here. The moment that thought crossed Natsuka's mind, an ominous siren suddenly bellowed. What? What's that sound? A loud alarm bellowed, much different from the siren of the fire alarm. An automatic broadcast voice followed. A case N has just been detected. In accordance with this emergency, security has shifted to blockade mode, locking down all gates and bulkheads. Officer personnel please administer ID, take shelter in the nearest room, and stay in place. The broadcast said nothing more before cutting out. Okay, no, then what? Okay, so she's dead, but also not because she manifests. Because, like, the adult group in After Days Route met her and interacted with her, all of them, and, like, administered her, touched her, and everything else, so super hyper realistic hallucination. So, oh, fucking god. But who's projecting her then into everyone's brains? Is it Natsuko subconsciously doing that? I mean, it must be to a certain extent. Or is it her consciousness mind became information and an existence outside of a physical body as well? It's like it's a combination of both. Something. Bloody hell. Natsuko looked toward the connecting passageway in shock. The security gate in their path shut with a roar. Natsuko rushed over to the gate and tried opening it. But no matter how much strength he used, no matter how much he pressed the open button, the gate wouldn't budge one bit. Why? Hikari, what's wrong? You're trapped and you're about to die, unfortunately. Aw, poor Yuri. I like her. That's... With a worried look on her face, Yuri gripped Natsuko's hand tight. She's just an innocent little bunny, basically. Like, aw. It's really... bastards for goddamn bastards killing off this little character like that. Anyway, Natsuko answered tearfully. I don't know why, but the door won't open anymore. You mean we can't get out? It's okay, I'll open this dumb thing right up now. Up right now. Natsuko fired himself up and struck the door with all his might. But as he did, smoke billowed up from somewhere and flooded the surrounding area. Coughing to your deaths. Natsuko panicked as he heard Yuri's coughing. But no matter how many times he pounded on the door, it wouldn't open. Darn it, why won't it open? What do we do, Hikari? I'm scared. Don't cry, Yuri. I'll do something. As he screamed with his wavering voice, Natsuko pounded recklessly on the gate. Tears welled up in Natsuko's eyes. Tears of fear. Tears of pain from slamming the gate with his fists. And Yuri's coughing and slowly dying now. That's... Eventually, Yuri's coughing started to grow weak. Yuri... Bollocks. When he turned around, Yuri had sunk to the floor. If we stay here, Yuri's gonna die. Natsuko carried Yuri's body and slowly started to walk. His head hurt terribly, perhaps due to smoke inhalation. He was sick to his stomach and his skin felt numb. But even so, he desperately searched for a route to survival. But he couldn't find an exit anywhere. Their sole path to escape, the emergency staircase, was engulfed in flames, preventing any possible approach. They tumbled into a nearby room, chased by the smoke. They desperately shut the door, but the smoke got in through the gaps. Yuri coughed within Natsuhiko's arms. Her powerless voice tore at Natsuhiko's heart. There was nowhere to run. The fire intensified and the smoke chased them everywhere. The small room too would eventually be engulfed in flames. Even as a young child, Natsuhiko knew. He knew that death was near. He sobbed words of regret. I'm sorry, Yuri. It's all because I took you with me. I tried to act cool and say I'd save Mom, but I couldn't, and now I got you trapped in this mess. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Before he knew it, tears were dripping out of his eyes. His body withered in helplessness. His heart tore apart with regret. But then Yuri's hand touched Natsuhiko's cheek. It's okay, Hikari. It's because you're always trying your hardest for everyone else. I love that about you. So I'm glad that you stay with me until the end. As she spoke, she smiled. A smile with but a fraction of the brightness of a 6th magnitude star. Yuri. Natsuko embraced Yuri. Her body was powerless. He was afraid that she would collapse if he let go. The smoke snatched away Natsuko's strength as well, and it became difficult for him to support her. His consciousness threatened to fade away, but even so, I can't give up. I need to find a way to save Yuri. Natsuhiko thought desperately. He searched around the room for a way to escape, and on top of the desk, he caught sight of a digital photo frame. There was a picture of Natsuko and his mother. So this is Mom's room? The tiniest bit of information sparked hope in Natsuhiko's heart. Within his arms, Yuri's face was pale, her eyes closed. He remembered the days he had spent with her, how they had run around in the park, played at home, gone on tests of courage, and finally, how they had practiced telepathy together. Telepathy? If I can use telepathy to tell someone we're here, then someone will come save us. Natsuko focused. He keened all his mind to the best of his ability. He focused on a distress signal. Damn it. To survive, to save Yuri. Eventually, all the surrounding sound faded in the distance, and his mental voice was sent free. Someone can save us. We're in Dr. Tinkao's room. That was the very first time he had used telepathy in his life. He had never used it before, but he had a feeling he had used it for sure. Alright, I'll send it over and over until it reaches someone. Natsuko kept using telepathy. His 5 senses dampened and he became unaware of the outside world. Eventually, once Natsuko was near the limits of his ability to concentrate, he heard someone's voice. Natsuko. Yuri too. Natsuko snapped back to his senses and looked at the voice's owner. Mom, thank goodness you're safe. I came here to save you. Let's take Yuri and get out of here. Yeah. Natsuko whipped his numb body into shape and stood up. The professor carried the limp Yuri and dashed out of the room. They ran through the smoke. Is there an escape route? It's okay. There's an emergency escape in Area 6. I'll save you two, so relax. The professor's voice was seeping with determination. The professor ran through what looked like a blazing factory, and in that deepest part of the room, there was a security gate. She ran up to it and took a card out of her pocket. She passed the card through the terminal on the side of the gate, and the gate opened. On the other side of the gate was a small room that looked like an elevator hall. This is a cargo lift. It can't go down to the basement from the ground floors, but it should go up the other way, even during incidents like these. The professor walked up to the control panel and operated it. Alright, please work. She whispered as if in prayer, and eventually the lift door opened with a heavy sound. It worked! We're saved! Yee. They climbed into the lift. The professor laid Yuri on the floor and closed the door using the control panel. Thank goodness. And at the same time, as if his threads of tension had been cut, Natsuko's consciousness suddenly faded into the distance. Natsuko, what's wrong? Natsuko felt like he heard his mother's voice as his consciousness faded. After that, Natsuhiko awoke. In the hospital bed. To find himself in the hospital bed. Oh, you're awake. Thank goodness. Mom. His usually calm and collected mother was, for that moment only, smiling joyfully. You were asleep for 2 days. I was so worried about you. But I'm truly glad that you're safe. But Natsuko asked his mother a question with a hollow voice. God damn it. Mom, how is Yuri? Right. He couldn't see Yuri anywhere. But the professor's smile froze at that question. Natsuko, please calm down and listen carefully. She answered with a sunken expression on her face. Yuri breathed her last breath last night. Huh? Natsuko couldn't understand the word the professor was saying. No way. Why did Yuri... You see, Yuri had a weak constitution. She breathed in too much smoke, and in the end, she couldn't regain consciousness. And so, last night, none of the words entered his head. He couldn't perceive any meaning. Bit by bit, the truth slowly soaked into Natsuko's mind. No way. The young Natsuko's cries echoed through the hospital that night. It was a memory Natsuko had sealed away in the deepest depths of his mind. His voice spilled out of his lips on its own. Yuri died back then. The moment the memory came back, he recalled each and every truth tied to it. How Yuri's funeral service went about quietly, how Natsuko was unable to attend, and how Yuri's parents did not die in the traffic accident at all. Rather, they took advantage of their daughter's death to move out of the city. Then, Natsuko pondered. A very important thing to ponder. In that case, who is the Yuri standing right there? It's a construct you created as a coping mechanism. He timidly looked up. He tried to look at Yuri, who he knew was standing in front of him. But as she stood there, her body is fading away now that you know what she is, or the fact that she isn't. He called her name. In response, Yuri just looked at him sadly and murmured, "Now you understand why I said I couldn't go with you, don't you? Because she hasn't been with you at all. Only in your memories." That very moment, the facade Natsuko had believed to be the truth started crumbling down. His mind suddenly recalled words he had once heard. The brain at times believes that hallucinations are real. Since the hallucination exists to that person, they feel no fear nor doubt. Even though it's a hallucination. Hallucination. That word reverberated in his head. Impossible. There's no way Yuri can be a hallucination. She's been with me these 9 years. Yes, she has. With you. Only you, though. I swear she was with me. Nobody's denying that. But she wasn't in a reality. Shock and confusion commanded Natsuko's thought process. But the more he thought about it, the more telltale signs he found. PTSD symptoms, repeated nightmares and flashbacks of past experiences, tendency to avoid things related to the cause of trauma. Finally, panic disorders related to said trauma. Each of those symptoms applied to Natsuhiko. Hold on. Have I always had it backwards? The one who lost their emotional balance after the incident wasn't Yuri. A few days ago, he had this conversation with Yuri over the phone. How can you even tell? Because those were the words you were wishing for. At the time, he had thought Yuri used empathy, but she never needed to read his mind at all, because Yuri only existed in Natsuko's mind to begin with. That was why whenever Yuri talked to Louise, "What about you, Louise? I've heard that manga and anime are popular in France." "True, so what about you?" "Oh, Every time it was just him. Huh? Luis always asked for a repeat of what Yuri said. Oh. It wasn't simply because she didn't hear Yuri. It was because Yuri's voice could only be heard in Natsuhiko's mind. Okay, but... Okay, you're gonna have to explain a bit more about that, though. If she is a construct within him, then how... Then what the fuck was the Yuri we... all the characters interacted with in the After Days route. All the adults interacted with her as well. Like she was actually there, they heard her say things. A collective consciousness that Natsuhiko just enforced on everyone? Or... You're gonna have to give me answers on that. You're gonna have to give me a lot of answers on that. The reason Yuri couldn't leave the house was because Natsuhiko wished it so. Because it would be inconvenient to him if Yuri were to attract outside attention. The brain actively works to rationalize its perception to eliminate inconsistencies. Natsuhiko's perceptions were held up by countless rationalizations. Yeah, playing this route before as the first one is a mistake. You go in the alphabetical order, A, B, C, and D, because there's 4 routes apparently. The reason Yuri couldn't cook was because she didn't exist. The reason Natsuko felt no sexual desire for Yuri because he couldn't touch her. And yet he kept believing Yuri was there all these 9 years. Because he was unable to accept her death. Does that mean Yuri is gone? Does that mean she's been dead for ages? The truth gradually sank into Natsuhiko's mind. His memories rewound. He recalled all the memories he shared with Yuri up until today. And all the scenes she was in were replaced with the correct scenes. His memories of the past hour were replaced with truth. Well, I'm surprised too, but Yuri's here in the facility. Huh? Masha and Luis looked around in shock. Yuri was nowhere to be seen. There was nothing but air when Natsuko thought Yuri was standing. And thus, the illusion manufactured by Natsuko's mind disappeared from his memory. You can't really do that. It's not fully accurate. You can't just explain this away that way. The fabrication he believed in collapsed, leaving only the truth from which Natsuko had always averted his eyes. The truth that Yuri was gone. And it wasn't only the illusions in his memory. The illusion before his very eyes was also fading in favor of the truth. The fading illusion gazed at Natsuko and whispered, "Hikari, it's time to say goodbye." But it's not. Wait, don't go. He tried to speak, but his voice wouldn't come out. He couldn't even find the words. "I'm sorry for deceiving you for so long. I wanted to support you. But I'm sure you'll be okay without me now. You've noticed these past few days, haven't you? You're not alone, Hikarin. With Mashiron at your side, and Luis too, you've overcome everything that's come your way, haven't you? The professor's always thinking about you too. No matter how harsh the truth might be, there are plenty of people there to support you. You see, that's the final thing I wanted to tell you." Perhaps that was why Natsuko recalled his memories again and again, to etch into his mind just how important Mashiro, Luis, and everyone else were to him, so he would be able to handle the truth, to correct the inconsistencies of his perception, little by little. That's right, whenever I tried to reject Mashiro and Luis, premonitions of disastrous futures would come to mind. Were those premonitions merely illusions made subconsciously by Natsuko's mind as a warning? Did his subconscious know that if he were to continue rejecting Mashiro and Luis, he would be unable to stand up to the truth? But none of that mattered to him anymore. Natsuko reached out to Yuri and raised his voice. "Please don't go, Yuri. Huh? The days I spent with you are irreplaceable. I don't care if you're an illusion. Don't disappear, I'm begging you." Yuri sadly responded to his cries. "I'm sorry, Hikari, but I have to. You need to grow, you need to move on. Because you have noticed the fact that I'm gone. But because of that, time has finally started to move again for you after it's been stopped for 9 years, hasn't it? You can live again now. You can live your own life, no longer bound by your memory of me. So, Goodbye. Yuri's voice stopped there. Well, for him, maybe. But then, what the fuck are the next, I don't know, 10 hours in the lives of these other characters? That was her final word, for she had disappeared, where the illusion vanished before Natsuhiko's eyes. Right, let's let him cry a little bit. Eventually, a strangled cry escaped from Natsuhiko's throat. It was the same scream he let out when he learned of Yuri's death. The bitter cry of one who had learned the truth. Bloody hell. Now, fuck that, we're continuing. Just then, the door opened and someone rushed inside. Natsuhiko. It was Mashiro. Natsuhiko, I heard a scream. What happened? Natsuhiko answered the worried Mashiro with a hollow voice. Yuri. Huh? Did something happen to Yuri? She disappeared. She disappeared. Wasn't she with you? Did she run off somewhere? Mashiro looked around the room. She was playing along, just like she always had. Then Mashiro must be reading my... Once Natsuko realized that fact, he slumped powerlessly against the wall. He started giggling to himself. It was a frightening voice that sent shivers down his own spine. Hey, what happened? You're acting kinda strange. Hey, what's wrong? Mashiro reached out and tried to touch Natsuhiko, but Natsuko pushed her hand away. Sounded like a slap. Isn't it a little late to say that? Eh? I've been acting strange for years, haven't I? Mashiro's face stiffened at those words. Years? Natsuko, did you... Oi, don't be so aggressive. Natsuko grabbed Mashiro by the shoulders and pushed her against the wall. Natsuko, stop it, you're hurting me. You've been lying to me all this time, haven't you? It was to comfort you, you were traumatized. Dude, come on now, don't be aggressive like this. Lying? Yuri's gone, isn't she? She's been gone for 9 goddamn years. And I was the only one who never realized it. I rewrote my reality just to rationalize my own denial. And you just played along with my madness, didn't you? Is this your idea of... Alright, he's being a bit emotional. It's understandable, but come on now. Don't blame others for your own thing. They were just trying to help. Trying to, make you have a nicer life. Or something like that. God damn it. No. Damn it, how dare... Look, Natsuko, you're not gonna... How dare you lie to me like this? It was for your own... come on now. They thought it was for your own better for you that way. Natsuko's chest tightened. His eyes blurred with tears. I mean, he realizes that he's in the wrong here to say those things. He just needs... he's just venting. It's fine. As long as he realizes. He does. And he will. He must. And he stood face to face with Mashiro, whose eyes were likewise wet. Hold on, Natsuko. Listen Shut up. Okay, maybe he hasn't realized it yet. Natsuko pressed his forehead into Mashiro's chest, because he didn't want her to see him cry. Natsuko, everyone's been lying to me. Look, you were a kid. You created your own reality to escape from trauma, to not fall into a depressed state or something like that. No one knows what the right answer to that kind of thing is, because that kind of stuff is trauma is complicated, and every situation is unique. There's no right or wrong answer. There's only the best thing everyone can try to do at the moment. It's complicated. People just try to support you, damn it. You and Luis and my own mother. But that wasn't all that made him sad. Masha had always talked to Yuri like it was normal. How could she do that when Yuri only existed inside Natsuko's head? There was only one answer. Masha has been constantly reading my mind with empathy. She said she didn't read other people's minds without permission, but that had always been a lie. Alright, don't squeeze. Natsuko gripped Masha's shoulders even tighter. He didn't care that he was hurting her. Why? How could you do such a thing? He was mortified that he had been lied to. And to make matters worse, he was lied to by the one he trusted the most. He would have rather lived with the truth, no matter how cruel, than keep living a lie. But you're the one who created that lie. So, like, how are this other people supposed to think? Why are this? Come on now. Mashiro. Natsuko soon felt darker emotions take hold of his heart. Mashiro was no longer the only one here who could use empathy. You've always peeped into my mind, so now it's my turn to peep into yours. Alright, let's get this phase out of the way. Natsuko focused his mind. He didn't care if all he heard was a noise-ridden mental voice, as long as he could come even the slightest bit closer to understanding Mashiro's feelings. Mashiro, tell me, why have you been lying to me? I can't stand to look you in the eyes if you don't. His intention was stronger than ever. His intention to expose the secrets in Mashiro's mind. There's nothing secretive there. It's just... The moment he embraced that intention in his heart, his 5 senses vanished. Natsuko's consciousness shot out into the endless darkness. Huh? What is this? It felt like a world shut off from everything. His sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste, all his senses paused. All that existed there was Natsuko's consciousness. Soon enough, he heard a faint voice in his ear. Natsuko, I'm sorry. I had no other choice. I had no other choice but to keep lying to you. It was Mashiro's voice, or rather, her thoughts. No choice. But it was somehow different from empathy. Natsuko's consciousness remained in the darkness even after he had heard Mashiro's voice. What's going on? That's a very good question. It was like the cessation of sensation he experienced during empathy, except it continued on forever. That was the bizarre sensation he felt. What in the hell is this? And right when Natsuko thought that... Okay. A countless number of somethings flickered in the darkness. Okay. They were like pictures or films, fragmentary visions. And Natsuko was in several of them. And out of all the visions drifting about Natsuko, he saw one of his own sorrowful face. Happening right now. Live feed. That was just me seconds ago. No way, could this be what Mashiro just saw? Her memory? Once he made that realization, he remembered what the Phantom Yuri had said. The apex of a communicator's journey. The ability beyond empathy. The power to connect minds rather than just brains. Yeah, he implants the idea of Yuri into the others. Very thoroughly and fully. But it would be best if you didn't use it anymore, for you might end up knowing something you would rather not know. When he had tried to read the terrorists' minds last night at the ruined factory, he didn't hear just their voices. He saw the visions they had seen as well. No way, is that what this is? He didn't understand what she meant when he first heard her, but now he fully understood. This is the third ability of BC. Oh, there's more than that. The fact that the Yuri inside his mind said it meant that perhaps Natsuko was subconsciously aware of this ability's existence. He didn't understand the particulars, but he vaguely understood why it would be best that he not use this ability. But even so, I want to know. If this ability can give me a deeper understanding of Mashiro than empathy can, then... Fragments of Mashiro's memory drifted about in the darkness. Visions so fragile, so brittle. Natsuko quietly peeked into the first such fragment. Ah, he can interact with them as well. Break them, that's how he erased or sealed away that guy's memory. Hey, that's how he looked as a kid. Inside that memory was Natsuko himself in his childhood days. When is this memory from? Well, you're like 7 years old here. Once he pondered that question, a date just popped into Natsuko's head. He naturally knew just when that event happened, as if he were recalling his own memories. July 7th, 2021. Wait, that date. This is Mashiro's memory of right before Yuri and I went to Labo. Inside the memory, Natsuko and Mashiro spoke. We're going to Labo to save Mom. Mashiro's eyes opened wide at those words. Stop it, Natsuko. It's dangerous. You shouldn't go to a place like that. Why not? There are rumors that they do dangerous research there, you know? And besides, radiation comes out there, so you can't even go inside. Dad told me so. Huh? What's wrong, Masha? You chicken? Well, fine. I guess I'll just go ask Yuri then. What's that supposed to mean? Lately you've been Yuri this and Yuri that. Mashiro loved Yuri too and thought of her as a close friend despite their age difference, but for some reason Mashiro didn't like it whenever Natsuko said Yuri's name. What? Don't tell me you're jealous. But you're just the tomboy. She could feel her cheeks turn red. As the blood rushed to her head, fine, I don't care about you anymore, Natsuko. Go buzz off with Yuri and see if I care. Mashiro ended up yelling those words. Those words she would later come to regret for years and years. And after that, Natsuko and Yuri went to Labo. Mashiro had no idea what happened there. 3 days later, Mashiro came to the park by herself. She thought it was about time for her to make up with Natsuko. She was going to apologize when she saw him at school, but neither Natsuko nor Yuri had attended since the day before yesterday, so she never had a chance. That was just another one of our little fights, right? Things will be back to normal after we play it for a day, won't they? When she and Natsuko played alone, neither ever yielded, but whenever Yuri was with them, things would be okay. If Yuri were there to bind them together, then they would definitely be able to make up soon. And with that plan in mind, Mashiro waited. But Natsuko just wasn't coming, it seemed. Even though he almost always showed up around this time. Should I go to Natsuko's place? Eventually Mashiro muttered that and walked off. Once she reached Natsuko's house, she tried pressing the doorbell. But nobody came. There was no response, no matter how many times she pushed the button. That's strange. Excuse me, is anybody home? The moment she spoke up, she heard a voice from behind her. Mashiro? She turned around in shock to see Natsuko's mother, Dr. Miyoko Tenkao, standing there. Ah, Professor. When Mashiro called her by that name, the professor spoke to her in a tired voice. What's wrong? I came here to see Natsuko, but he doesn't seem to be in. Where did he go? You haven't heard yet, have you? Heard what? Natsuko is in the hospital. A hospital? There was a fire at Labo, and he and Yuri got caught in it. Was he hospitalized? Yuri was with him, so is Yuri in the hospital too? Yuri's no longer with us. With a dark expression on her face, the professor stepped up to Mashiro and held her by the shoulders as she spoke slowly. Mashiro, you see, after she was rescued, Yuri never woke up. And last night... The moment she heard those words, Mashiro felt her peaceful days come crashing to an end. Mashiro cried a whole day after that. By the time she attended Yuri's funeral, she had run out of tears. But 1 week after that, tears would spill out every time she remembered what happened. Mashiro sobbed as she waited for the bus to go to the hospital. No matter how much she cried, she could not recover from the sadness of losing a dear friend. Yuri had an ever-gentle smile on her face. Yuri had told her she was cute, even when nobody else would treat her like a girl. Yuri had praised her cooking whenever they played house. Yuri was the gentlest, cutest girl that Mashiro wanted to be. And Mashiro could still not believe that she was gone. But even as sadness filled Mashiro's heart, just one other thing remained. Her worry for Natsuhiko. I wondered if Natsuko was okay. Natsuko didn't attend Yuri's funeral. He was apparently still in the hospital. He hadn't come to school at all. I gotta go pay him a visit. Mashiro wiped her tears as the bus arrived. As she got off the bus in front of the hospital, Mashiro went through the reception and headed to Natsuhiko's room. Inside the hospital room, Natsuko was lying on the bed. Beside him was Dr. Tenkao. Professor. Ah, Mashiro. You came to visit, didn't you? Thank you for taking the time. No problem. Is Natsuhiko asleep? Natsuko, you see... The professor glanced at Natsuhiko. Mashiro peeked at Natsuko's face and gasped. Oh, that's a blank stare of just nothing. Soulless stare. It's kinda gone. He wasn't sleeping. He was lying down with his eyes wide open. But there was no light in those eyes. He just stared blankly at the air. Natsuhiko. No answer. No answer. Hey, what's wrong, Natsuhiko? Can't you hear me? Hey, As Mashiro shouted in confusion, Dr. Tenkawa answered in her son's stead. He can't hear you. He's been like that ever since he learned about Yuri's death. It's not just you, Mashiro. He won't respond to anyone. Not me, nor the doctors. He couldn't come to terms with the truth, and he shut his mind away. No. Mashiro looked at Natsuko in blank amazement. His gaze pointed off somewhere far into the distance. Mashiro left the hospital in disbelief. As she headed home, her head swirled with various thoughts and feelings. But the strongest feeling of them all was regret. Regret again. Everyone has regrets. Alright. Yuri went to Labo in my stead and died because of it. That's why Natsuko's like that. Mashiro's heart was torn apart by the regret of what she could never undo. She couldn't think of a way to dispel that regret. At least until Natsuko returns to normal, She resolved to put everything she had into watching over Natsuhiko. She didn't care if she was merely serving as a replacement for Yuri or about anything else. Mashiro swore to herself that she would watch over him. Mashiro frequently visited Natsuhiko after that. She prayed for the day that he would regain consciousness. Natsuhiko, how are you doing today? Well, today you see, I was practicing BC art. I actually successfully used telepathy for the first time. That means I'm finally ability level 1. I started using telepathy before you did, Natsuko. Aren't I amazing? No matter how much Mashiro spoke, Natsuko would not respond. But even so, she would come to speak with him as she believed that was the only way to bring him back to reality. Natsuko, I'm so bored this summer break. Last year we had a test of courage. We freed Sirius, we investigated the Seven Wonders, and lots of other stuff. Nothing happens without you around, Natsuko. It's so boring. But even as time passed and summer break arrived, nothing changed. Actually, something kind of surprising happened today. You see, there's this boy in the other class and he sent me this letter and said he liked me. Hey, Natsuko, what should I do? Though the world around Mashiro was changing, time remained still for Natsuhiko. I ended up rejecting the boy who sent me the letter. I mean, I don't really understand all that stuff. Like, what it means to like someone. Mashiro strained to prevent her world from changing so that she wouldn't slip too far from Natsuhiko's time. And in the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. That day, Mashiro visited Natsuhiko's hospital room. Today at school, the boys were asking if you were still in the hospital. Your mom doesn't let anyone else visit but me, you see. Everyone's really worried since they haven't seen you in 3 months. You really are popular, you know. Still no response. Everyone's waiting for you to be discharged. No matter how much she talked to him, there was no response. Eventually, hey, say something, Natsuhiko. Her voice rang out from the bottom of her heart and echoed through the hospital room. I'm waiting for you to come back, Natsuhiko. Now that Yuri's gone, I've been all alone. Mashiro suddenly realized just how much her own voice was trembling. Her vision had blurred before she noticed. Natsuhiko. Mashiro touched Natsuhiko's cheek. He was right there, yet they couldn't exchange words. She could only guess what he was thinking. Mashiro whispered by herself in the tiny room. It's so lonely, Natsuhiko. I want to play with you like we did back then. I want to fight with you over stupid things. Mashiro was already past the point where she had any hope for an answer. Her sobs echoed through the quiet hospital room. But then, she heard the voice she had been waiting to hear. Huh? Mashiro gasped and looked at Natsuko in disbelief. Huh? Natsuko looked around, confused. The light had returned to his eyes. Eventually, those eyes fell on Mashiro. Mashiro? He called out her name. Natsuko. Natsuko twitched at the sudden shout. Oh, what? No, where am I? Natsuko appeared unaware that he was in the hospital. Mashiro grasped Natsuko's hand and answered. You're in the hospital, you don't remember? Ah, that's right. Yuri and I got caught in the fire in Labo. Yeah. He appeared to be gradually recalling the circumstances. Mashiro softly spoke to him, holding back all the words she wanted to say so they wouldn't overflow. Natsuko, you've been in the hospital ever since then, you know? I've been coming here to visit you. I see, thank you. It's not that big a deal. What matters is that you're back. I'm sorry, must have made you worry. Natsuko spoke apologetically. Mashiro wiped her tears and smiled. I said it's no big deal. More importantly, I gotta call the professor. She needs to know you've woken up. That's true. Besides, Natsuko smiled as he spoke, and the music disappeared, and now he's gonna mention Yuri. I'm sure Yuri's worried too. The air froze in the hospital room. Huh? Yuri, she should be waiting for me at home. Natsuko? An ominous premonition arose from the pit of Mashiro's stomach. She asked him again in a rough voice. What makes you say that? Well, I just remembered that what happened when they carried me to the hospital. I nearly died from breathing too much smoke, but Yuri was safe, wasn't she? So Mom told me Yuri didn't have to be hospitalized. That was an impossible memory. Natsuko had shut his mind after he learned about Yuri's death. But Natsuko appeared to believe what he had just said from the bottom of his heart. Hey, Natsuko, you didn't forget, did you? Forget what? You see, she's already gone, you know? Natsuko looked at Mashiro with blank eyes. Gone? Gone where? Huh? Like I said, because of the fire. Yuri breathed in too much smoke and she died. Once Mashiro repeated herself, Natsuko suddenly grimaced. Natsuko, what's wrong? My head just started to... It hurts. Natsuko, are you okay? Natsuko. Natsuko groaned for a while, but eventually his face slackened as if he were at peace. Ah, it doesn't hurt anymore. I see, that's good. What was that just now? Natsuko tilted his head. Just erasing reality. That's what she means by no choice. Because otherwise, he couldn't function. Mashiro had no answer. She had the feeling that Natsuko's headache was no ordinary headache. Mashiro's body trembled from an unknown fear. Well, whatever. Anyway, gotta go call them. Huh? We gotta tell them I'm awake, right? Besides, I'm sure Yuri was worried too. Once she heard those words, Mashiro finally understood. Natsuko still had not returned to reality. He had become emotionally unstable. Natsuko. Mashiro called out his name. She called out the name of her friend who looked the same on the outside, but was completely different. The tears she had wiped away had come back. Huh? Natsuko looked at her quizzically. Mashiro, why are you crying? Those were Mashiro's memories from 9 years ago. As he peered into them, Natsuko's mind shook with surprise. What is this? That's you. That's how you coped with the loss and trauma. Did that really happen? Without me even being aware of it? That's the power of the brain, apparently. Natsuko himself had memories of how he was hospitalized after the fire, but what Natsuko remembered was completely different. So you're saying I was completely comatose for 3 whole months? Then what happened after that? How did Mashiro handle me? As soon as he had the desire to know the answer to that question, another vision arose before his eyes. The next thing Natsuko saw was far further into the future than what he saw last. A memory of the recent past. Natsuko naturally knew just how much time had passed. Ah, it's 9 years after that day, eh? Indeed, it was a memory of just about a week ago. Mashiro was making breakfast in the Tekao kitchen as usual. And soon enough, she heard the living room door open as Natsuko greeted her. Good morning. Ah, good morning. Mashiro returned the greeting and quickly continued cooking. The newscaster on TV was rambling on in a matter-of-fact tone of voice. Next on in the news, early this morning, Rokume City's BC Training Center received objectionable literature from an extremist group. A connection to the recently held BC seminar was also identified. The police are now working with the city security department to do something and be completely incompetent at their jobs, basically. Soon she heard Natsuko's voice mix in with the voice on the TV. Good morning, Yuri. Mashiro turned around. Good morning, Yuri. But of course, nobody was there. But Natsuko acknowledged that Yuri had entered the room. Mashiro merely played along. Breakfast is just about done. Mashiro distributed the food to Natsuko and Yuri without any panic in particular. Over the course of the past half year, Mashiro had completely gotten the hang of things. What's on the menu today? Hash browns, bacon and eggs, salad, omelets and orange juice. It's a lot. A classic all-American breakfast. Wow, starting the day off with a full meal, eh? That's a good idea, generally speaking. During that exchange, Natsuko was probably hearing Yuri's voice. Even at this point in time, he still had not accepted her death. He didn't just hear her voice. He always seemed to be seeing an illusion of Yuri. Charles Bonnet syndrome, eh? Mashiro remembered the name of a condition she had read in a book before. Charles Bonnet syndrome, a general term for a phenomenon that occurs due to an abnormality of information transfer in the brain. Even if the person is mentally normal, they suffer symptoms including visual hallucinations. Often the cause is physical trauma to the brain. When Natsuko got caught in the fire, he likely inhaled large volumes of carbon monoxide. Yeah, but he kind of just rewrote his brain as well. I guess that damaged his brain and caused him to hallucinate. That was what Mashiro figured. But aside from that one detail, Natsuko was completely normal. As long as he didn't come in contact with the truth of that past, he would live calm, peaceful days. Now then, boys and girls, put your hands together. Itadakimasu. And thus another morning began. Mashiro secretly used empathy on Natsuko, upon which he heard Yuri's voice as Natsuko heard it in his brain. Yep, it's just delicious, just like you'd expect from Mashiro. Yeah, it's amazing how he can make all of this in such a short amount of time. Oddly enough, using empathy on Natsuko allowed Mashiro to hear Yuri's voice as Natsuko heard it. Mashiro smiled at Natsuko. I'm just used to it. I mean, I have been doing this for over half a year now. Yeah, I am used to it. I've been doing this for years. It took 5 years to train herself to that level of ability. At this point in time, Mashiro had gained the equivalent of ability level 5. She was able to use empathy smoothly and naturally, without the need to concentrate too hard, nor the need to sacrifice her hearing. There were likely very few communicators with the same level of ability as her in the entire nation. The reason Mashiro was able to obtain such power despite only having rank B aptitude was perhaps out of sheer force of will. There's a need for that. Her will to know Natsuhiko's mind. That was what granted her ability beyond her aptitude. Empathy allowed her a glimpse of Natsuko's world whenever she wished. Hikarin, you've barely touched the fuel. Does your tummy hurt? No, I'm fine. I just wanted to savor the food as I ate. Really? That's good. I might not look it, but I've got a sturdy body. I've always got a healthy appetite. Yeah, that must be weird. Like, being part of a three-way conversation where there's only two people. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. With that answer, Natsuko stuffed his cheeks with bread. Oh, I like how you eat, Natsuko. Makes all that effort worth it. The conversation concluded without any issue. Yuri certainly still existed, at least within the walls of the house. Even if her existence was a fragile illusion built upon the foundation of countless lies. Naturally, Mashiro was unbearably reluctant to peek into Natsuko's mind without permission, but she chose to play along with Natsuko's story even if it meant she had to overcome her guilty conscience. For that was the only way she could remain by his side. 9 years ago, she took an oath upon herself, to watch over Natsuko until he returned to his old self. Mashiro stayed true to that oath even now. Hallucinations weren't Natsuko's only issues. The more serious matter at hand was his panic disorder. One wrong move and Natsuko would come close to noticing Yuri's death, causing him to display symptoms including intense headaches and heart palpitations. In extreme cases, his memories would go into disarray and he would begin to ignore reality. Aside from hospital staff, only Mashiro and Dr. Tenkawa knew about his condition. If only he could gradually improve. The most effective treatment for this kind of condition was said to be family therapy. That is, for the family to treat the patient with devoted support for their condition. I have to play the role of family in the professor's place. That was what Dr. Tenkawa had requested due to her frequent absence from work. Natsuko spoke apologetically to Mashiro despite having been left in the dark. But still, sorry for making you do this all the time, Mashiro. What do you mean? Your mother pays me after all, so it's kinda like a part-time job. And besides, it's not like I do it for you or anything. If I had to say, I do it more for Yuri. Right, Yuri? As Mashiro said that, she secretly thought to herself, I do it for Yuri, eh? Mashiro did indeed suffer a deep wound after losing her close friend. She was honestly happy that she could still talk to the deceased Yuri by using empathy on Natsuhiko. But naturally, that couldn't have been her only reason. Then what have all those 9 years been for? Not even Mashiro quite knew herself. It couldn't be explained simply by the words atonement or regret. No, I just want Natsuko to return to how he used to be, that's all. Because that's just about all I can do. As Mashiro silently recited her convictions, she looked at Natsuhiko, at the boy who gazed at the phantom of a dead girl without ever second-guessing himself. But naturally, it was not as if she had any complaints about the current Natsuhiko. He had become so quiet that he seemed to be a completely different person, but Mashiro believed that the old Natsuko was still there at his core. But even so, once they came to a certain place where they shared memories long past, she couldn't help but feel her heart tear in two. Mashiro, I don't know how to say this, but you're a good person. What's this all of a sudden? That's what Natsuko had said as they returned from their field trip. His embarrassed expression was the same as how he was as a boy. Something suddenly tightened in Mashiro's chest, forcing her to look away. What are you talking about? I'm just copying what you did back in the day. Really? Was I really that good a guy back then? Well, I think you still are a pretty good guy, Natsuko. Your one weakness is that you can get stubborn sometimes, though. Maybe, I guess. Natsuko scratched his head in contemplation. Fine, you and Mashiro. I'll try to lower my guard at least a little. Progress. Yeah, that should be good enough. This will have to do for now, and all. What's that, another anime quote? Yeah, one from way before we were born, though. When Mashiro smiled, Natsuko smiled back. As she looked at his smile, Mashiro secretly thought to herself, yeah, this will have to do for now. Mashiro could do nothing for him but watch over him and support him. She didn't do it to boast, nor did she want Natsuko to know what she was doing or how she felt. As such, perhaps she really was doing it for Natsuhiko's sake. Her inconsistencies were endless. Nevertheless, Mashiro thought that she would stay by his side like this forever. Forever doesn't last. That's not a thing. This is for the best. If I don't at least believe that I'm doing the right thing, then everything I'm doing for Natsuko will really be all for nothing. Let's leave it at that for now. Those days would eventually come to an end. Their daily life would one day collapse, but there was indeed peace within that life. Like their nostalgic chat in the park illuminated by the glow of the setting sun. Even if that peace were only temporary, it was an irreplaceable treasure to her. Hey, Natsuhiko. I'm kinda glad we talked about all those things today. Let's come here again sometime when we've got time. Yeah, every now and then, I guess. Always with the I guess. As Natsuko muttered that, a gentle breeze enveloped them. Mashiro gazed at his face from the side and silently prayed. If only this moment of peace could last forever. Nothing lasts forever. Back to reality. Right? And then the visions within the memories faded. Natsuko returned to reality as if he had woken up from a dream. Before his eyes was a crying Mashiro, pushed against the wall. Apparently only a fleeting moment had passed in reality, but Natsuko had experienced 9 years of her life, and he shed endless tears. Natsuhiko? Mashiro called out in confusion. But once he heard that voice, Natsuko suddenly brought her into a deep embrace. Ah, hugs are nice. Hugs are always nice. He could feel her body tensing up, but Natsuko embraced her even stronger as he spoke. Mashiro, I'm so sorry. Huh? You've always been there to support me, haven't you? You've always been there for me, right by my side. Mashiro gasped at those words. How did you... I'm sorry I did it without asking, but I read your memories with DC. Huh? My memories? Is that you? It is. I did it. It has to be some sort of new BC ability. But I wanted to know how you felt so bad. And then I saw your memories of 9 years up until today. And now I know everything. How my mind shattered when I lost Yuri. And how you were always there watching over me. That too. Yeah. And so I wanted to say... Natsuko paused there. He desperately held back his overwhelming emotions and squeezed out the words. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mashiro. Tears came spilling out again. Natsuko recalled the words Yuri's phantom had whispered to him 6 days ago. So don't distrust those around you. If you must distrust someone, then distrust me. No matter what's the truth and what's a lie, you should be in the company of those with good intentions, shouldn't you? What Yuri said was true. Natsuhiko had always been protected by the people around him. For 9 whole years. And then Mashiro... It's okay. Mashiro had that to say to him. You know, I've been worried this whole time. Worried? Yeah, I was worried that once you noticed the truth, the same thing that happened to you 9 years ago would happen again. But it didn't. You were able to accept the sadness. And I'm happy just for that. Natsuko, you did well to withstand it. You worked so hard. Natsuko shook his head at those words. Mashiro, the only reason I could withstand it was because of you. Because you were always there by my side. Yuri was the one by your side, wasn't she? No, thanks to you, He had no more words. He just embraced Mashiro tightly once more. An embrace filled with 9 years of feelings. Natsuhiko, I'm glad I could be there for you. Aww. Mashiro returned the embrace. They remained in each other's arms for a while. Without words, without BC. Just like that. How much time had they spent in each other's arms after that? Who knows, but we will leave them be like that for a little bit because, good God, it's over 2.5 hours. It's still, man, it's getting late, and we shall continue this. We shall conclude this next time, as we, for now, we must, because it's a bit too much, and like, emotional scenes, memories, revelations, feelings, so many feelings. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Still one question remains though, obviously. Okay, mind melding stuff. That's gonna be a thing. Okay. But for next time, for bits in the nearby future. Anyway, with that on pause for now, for a brief moment, let's leave you be with a bit of... Let's distract ourselves. Let's stay hydrated and be reasonable and distract ourselves a bit, because we're gonna have to have some distractions though. Because we need intermissions, 2.5 hours, 2:42 apparently. Bloody hell. Anyway, with some music, here we go. This time around the list spat out for me. Girls Dead Monster, my song, the Yui version from the anime Angel Beats, which is it's a great one. Emotions. God, that one has emotions as well. I'm not gonna say any more of that. Page and Plant, Friends. Miyu Okamoto. Tayo Iwaku Moyu Chaos. Oh, that's from. Oh, alright, that's from the what's it called? That one. There's another series called like the Cthulhu Girl. I don't remember. Actually, no, fuck that. I'm gonna look it up right now because I want to be complete. Because that's a thing. That is a thing. Come on now. Where is the thing? That's like anthropomorphized like Cthulian entities as like obviously high school middle-aged like things. Hayor Nyarkos, and that's the thing. There we go. So that's the one from that show. That's a silly one. I enjoy it. It's fun. Then we have Bee Gees' Night Fever. They have other songs. They have songs other than. I'm blanking on the song of theirs that everyone knows. Fuck. Anyway, you know the other Bee Gees song. You know the one I'm talking about. But they have other ones like this one, and also Guns N' Roses' Shackler's Revenge. That's a recent edition. I haven't memorized it yet. Anyway, that's that. Staying Alive, that's the Bee Gees song. There we go, that's the one everyone knows. God, there's so many going through my mind. I can't recall all of them. It takes a bit for my brain connections to create those connections. That's, yeah, my brain's melting apart right now. But anyway, I will see you a lot a bit later, and we can conclude for now. Bye-bye. And then in a moment I will say hello there. But for now I say bye-bye. Hello there. Back once more, a few moments later, or well, half a day later, or something. Who cares? Doesn't matter. We continue we're gonna continue. So much information happened, so much stuff happened. Yuri's dead, which is sad. Also, what? So what is she in the after days route? What? Anyway, but lots of questions. I am excited to get to them. But first, obviously, we must address all of the issues that may or may not have happened over the last however long the thing was, which is not at all, I think. But now, where was I? Yes, we have to. Before we get any of that, before I get my mind to just muck about in the things, I have to make sure this is properly calibrated. And by properly calibrated, I mean if my voice works properly. I mean, it does, I guess, sort of. But first, of course, we need to take this away, and we need, there we go, this one. Let's do a bit of reading before we do a lot of reading. Preliminary reading. Anyway, more short stories, like, oh, God, ignore that, you mistakes, they are not mistakes. That might be a mistake. Anyway, something I wrote years ago. This one's a bit, it's only a page long, that's not much. Anyway, if it makes sense, good. If it doesn't, good. Either doesn't matter to me. It is a thing that exists for a purpose that serves me and me alone. I guess? Anyway, sharing is caring, I suppose. Anyway, short story 13. In the morning, Johnny picked out his nicest suit, made sure there was no metal on him, and headed into town. Some exchanges and a phone call later, he met up with Susie. Shall we dance? He asked in a gentleman-like tone he could muster. Certainly, she replied, with an equally practiced voice and gesture. The casino floor was flooded with fortune seekers and disciplined misfits. They walked as if gods among men. We're invited, Susie proclaimed as she walked past the guards. No trouble so far, Johnny received a hurried whisper from another guest once inside. After the opening number, another whisper. They know a lie. I hold the truth, Johnny whispered back and sauntered over to the stage and punched the pianist. Kicking and screaming, he was thrown out. Then he brushed off and headed home to make dinner. Meanwhile, Susie retrieved Johnny's coat and entertained herself with some roulette. Another brushed off whisper. Second, even, 27, black. After one more round, she passed by Johnny's scene and, moments later, returned with a slightly more wore-down coat. 3 a.m. Susie returns to a passed-out Johnny. Oh, he made omelets. Lovely, she murmured, pouring a glass of wine, and fell soundly asleep about 10 minutes later. Breaking news. Explosion at the Galloway estate. When asked for comment, investigators did not rule out a possible terrorist attack. No reports of any suspects or victims as of yet. Our reporters are standing by, and we will deliver any updates as they come in. Johnny groggily managed to pay attention while gulping down a second mug of coffee. Susie, a few hours later, makes a call and leaves a voicemail. Truth and reconciliation. Okay, randomly a terrorist plot as well there. As pure coincidence, I do not prepare any of this stuff in advance. The advance thing happened like 4 years ago, but I didn't know there was going to be a purpose to this. So anyway, it's just like, I'm excited. So yes, as I said earlier, at the beginning, Yuri is dead. Has been for 9 years. Natsuhiko literally rewrote his entire mind and perception of reality to just ignore that fact, which is okay. That's some denial, arrested development. And Masha was playing along for that time because, well, otherwise his mind would just shut down and revert back to before he's heard any of the contradictory statements. So that's a thing, that's on his end. But then we have a much bigger question that needs to be answered, and that is, what is Yuri then? In the minds and perceptions of the other adults, in the after days route. All of them saw her, interacted with her, touched her, everything, the whole thing. And then one moment she just disappeared as well. Or did she? Well, yes, disappeared. And Watase thought he interacted with her, found her dead body, but then security footage showed that he did not. So we know there's some mindfuckery happening here. Natsuko is capable of that, merging with people's minds now, influencing them and doing stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's what happens there a bit, but with all of the others as well, that seems a little... why? And if that's not him doing that, then what is this other Yuri that's interacting with the other adults there? Because I kind of don't feel like Natsuko is going to have this kind of a plan in mind. He's going to create this phantom Yuri in all the other people's minds to distract them or something like that. Like, or maybe he will, I guess. You know what? There are so many questions that still need to be answered. And the best way to do that is to head right in and go for it. Because I am excited I'm excited to find some more answers. I was not expecting that answer that she's dead and stuff like that, but you know what? We are where we are, and we continue now. How much time had they spent in each other's arms after that? Yes, this is the moment where, Natsuko and Mashiro have a confrontation about his past. Like, why'd you lie to me? Then he realized that it was to protect him the whole way through. So that's that. And yes, he's realized that he was a big dum-dum and she was just doing because she liked him and stuff like that. The friends, and maybe more, eventually. Anyway, eventually, Natsuko let go of Mashiro and spoke up. Let's go, Mashiro. Yeah, still stuck in labo. It's my duty to get you out of here. And that's a duty I swear I will fulfill. But what about the card? There should be one in this area. I don't know how I know, but trust me. It's intuition, it's foreknowledge, it's... Yuri's phantom said that Natsuko had merely overlooked it. He decided to trust in her words, which technically are his own words, since she is just a product of his imagination. Remember, I must have seen it. Yes, it's the picture frame on the desk. Where have I been where have I been where I've already seen a card? As soon as he pondered that question, a card's location flickered in his mind as if in a flashback. We've had a lot of flashbacks. The stairwell next door. Let's go look, Mashiro. Yee. Natsuko and Mashiro rushed out of the room and dashed to the stairwell. It was dark because the light had been broken. Natsuko and Mashiro stared hard as they searched for the card together. Oh yeah, they don't have their PDAs with them. Right, that's the thing. And eventually, hidden in the pile of rubble, Natsuko spotted a rectangular object. Found one. Huh? Mashiro looked at the card Natsuko had picked up. Oh, it's of course it is. Level N. Yeah, she went up in the ranks. Written on it was the name Miyoko Tenkawa and the letters Level N. Mom's card. Why is it here? Because she was evacuating alongside the rest. Maybe she dropped it when she evacuated. They couldn't know the details. However, Natsuko felt it was as if Yuri had left them with this card. In any case, I'm sure we can use this to open the security gate. True, let's try it out immediately. Yee. Go for it. They dashed out of the stairwell. Come on. Let's figure out how Hiyama and Dojima die. That's important. And what you do to Watase's mind. Exactly. What happens there? Let's get past all this riffraff and just running around corridors. And get to the meaty goodness. And they arrived at the gate that had been blocking their way. Natsuko swiped their newly found card through the gate's card slot. Please work. Please. Natsuko and Mashiro huddled up and prayed. Pray to the machine god, the Omnisci shall answer your prayers. And as if their prayers had reached heaven... Well, it's just the AI living inside every piece of technology. The gate slowly opened before them. Mashiro looked at Natsuko with gleaming eyes. Alright, there's sure to be an emergency escape in Area 6 this way. Futile, you can tell. We escaped through Area 6 9 years ago. Well, that was 9 years ago. A complicated smile formed across Mashiro's face as she heard those words. Natsuko himself felt sad as he looked back at the way they came. Back at Area 5, where he and Yuri had been trapped that fateful day. And the same place where Yuri's illusion had vanished. But there was nothing there now. Yuri was no longer with them. She hadn't been for a while. Natsuko finally accepted that truth. Goodbye, Yuri, and bid her farewell. She no longer existed anywhere but in their memories, and apparently will exist as a illusion in the brains of 5 adults in a few hours. When he wakes up, when does Watadase wake up? Some of them around 9, and he confronts her earlier. But like they had a full interaction, everything. What the fuck was that? Okay, we'll find out. Natsuko recalled one such nostalgic memory. A memory of when she was living. Or maybe that's like an encounter they had back then. And it's just recreated now. Okay. At the ruined factory, after the professor had said that she would do something about Yuri's situation, they first headed home. Natsuko and Yuri walked silently hand in hand. The professor walked a few steps ahead of the two as she spoke on the phone with someone. Yes, there's the possibility of neglect. Child Protective Services. Does Article 4 of the BC law not apply? Then at least the security department's citation for the parental guardians. Natsuko's mother spoke in a firm voice. This isn't the end of Yuri's, story and the revelations and what she is. Come on now. Her being dead and an illusion in his head doesn't mean shit anymore, honestly. I don't think so. There's too much. She's on the front cover of the thing. So, come on now. What is she? What did she become? Who created this additional Yuri or something like that? But what she was talking about was too difficult for the kids to understand. However, they at least had the vague idea that the situation was serious. Eventually, Yuri cast down her eyes and murmured, "Hey, Natsuko. Thanks for everything today. It was so fun." Natsuko's chest tightened as she thanked him. He said he would protect Yuri, but he couldn't fulfill his promise. You're just a kid. He even borrowed strength from his mother, but he had no idea how far that would get him. Perhaps dragging Yuri along this late at night only made things worse. You think so? Yes, it did. He had seen how horribly furious her parents would get at her after she would return home. "I'm sorry, Yuri. I couldn't do anything." "It's fine. I couldn't do anything to help you." Yuri shook her head at those words. "Don't say that. We may have only run away from home for a short time, but it was really fun for me. We walked hand in hand, we talked a lot, we made precious memories. That's all I need to..." Yuri sealed her lips at that. Natsuko looked up to the sky to prevent his tears from falling down. Stars shine throughout the night sky. Yuri looked up at the stars too. "The stars sure are pretty, eh?" "Yeah." And thus they ended up looking up at the sky together. Yuri pointed to some particularly bright stars and spoke. "Hey, Natsuko, do you know those stars?" Which stars?" "Those 2 stars beside the Milky Way. They're called Orihime and Hikoboshi." "Yeah, I've heard of them." "Hikoboshi is your star, isn't it, Natsuko? Your names do sound the same. Hikoboshi, Natsuko." Do they? Not really. I guess they have the same number of whatever those are. I don't remember. Look, I'm not a linguist, even though I studied technical translator for 4 years almost without that doesn't mean shit. I don't pay attention to these technical aspects of language, I just use it. Anyway, Hikoboshi and Natsuko. No, they do not sound similar at all. But sure, whatever. Let's go. Yuri smiled slightly as she spoke. Natsuko gathered the courage to answer her. "Yeah. Now if only Orihime was called Yuriboshi, right? It's too bad, but I'm not a princess like Orihime." Orihime. Right, Hime is a princess. That word crops up quite often in the circles that I visit on the interwebs. Don't know what Ori means though. But it wouldn't be good anyway. Those 2 stars are separated from each other after all. Well, technically every single star is separated from each other by at least several light years. Yeah, but you see, even if those 2 stars are separated, they can meet each other once a year. And because they've made that promise, they're not sad. And I'm not sad either. I can always go to the park whenever I want to see you, Natsuko. That sounds like a way better deal than what Orihime and Hikoboshi get. He knew that those words were her earnest attempt to sound like everything was okay. He was quietly assaulted by regret and helplessness. It wasn't as if seeing her in the park again and again could save Yuri. Age, family, social standing, those completely worthless things had separated them. Just like now, the heavenly river of the Milky Way separated the two stars. So Natsuko firmly grasped Yuri's hand. Hey, Yuri. Oh, he's being very serious now. Aww. It's adorable when kids like that get serious and whatnot. It's genuine. It's like genuine. It's entirely genuine. There's no messing about that. Huh? I'll never forget what happened today. I'll never forget looking at the stars with you. Natsuko swore to never forget his regrets. He swore an oath upon his heart. Yuri smiled back at him. I won't forget what happened today either. I'm so happy you said you'd protect me, Natsuko. Yuri gazed at Natsuko. As Natsuko gazed back, he silently swore to one day go up to her and protect her forever. Unfortunate. Once I grow up and get stronger, I swear I'll protect you, Yuri. She smiled at him as he swore that oath. Thank you, Natsuko. I'll be waiting. Those words softly echoed in Natsuhiko's mind. In the end, Natsuhiko couldn't fulfill his promise back then. He was the one who was always being protected. He was overwhelmed with regret, loss, and helplessness. Oops. But for that very reason, there was something he needed to do. There's only one way I can atone, by protecting the other girl who was always with me. He swore to protect her. His memories bestowed him with a sense of duty. With renewed gratitude towards Yuri, Natsuko once again made a solemn oath. Mashiro silently grasped Natsuko's hand. He grasped back. Let's go, Mashiro. Towards the light. Yi. The two of them exchanged those words and left Area 5. To part with the past and head towards the future. I think I see what happens there. Okay, so we have... Okay, I guess I... Alright, fair enough. That is the conclusion of the Before Crime route. Makes sense. We have now converged. The storylines now intermingle. Are going to, at least. Alright, cool. This feels like the best ending? It should be. God, I hope it is. Because I don't really want to go through the process I did last time. I have to repeat the whole thing and follow a guide to get the correct things, make all the correct choices. I mean, at some point when I adjusted the last time the anagram thingy to like the maximum for each character, I haven't touched it in like 10 hours or something like that. I don't remember. I just let the thing be and just get all the positive points for, well, whatever that does. I don't really know or care. I only want the good endings. All the other stuff is supplemental and whatever. It's whatever. I only want the good ending. I want the proper story, the canonical one. Your side stories are fun and all that, but they're not relevant to me all that much. We have credits. We will always watch the credits in full without interruption. Because we want to do that. We want to do that. And while that is happening, there's one thing I can do in the meantime. Quickly now. Oops. You're seeing the thing. Adjusting. Whatever. Doing the thing. I'll recalibrate it a little bit. There we go. Oh, come on now. Fuck. I didn't mean to do that. Bollocks. What's happening? I'm messing it up again. God damn it. Alright. Okay, fine. I accidentally clicked on the credits. Alright. Anyway, Natsuko looked at Mashiro with wide eyes. There was blood on her right shoulder. Huh? What is this? Huh? A red stain grew on Mashiro's clothes before their eyes. She got shot all of a sudden? Mashiro was shot. We didn't hear a bang or anything. By whom? From where? When? No, it burns. It hurts, Natsuko. Are you okay, Mashiro? No, she's not. She got shot. And she just said that it's burnt. Like, god damn it. He grew up, I guess. But he's still asking the dumb questions. Oh my god. But right as Natsuko started to yell, guess it's harder to hit a moving target than you'd think. He heard a low voice from behind him. Hello, Atase. You look a little crazy. He turned around and there by the open gate was a man with a gun. You? Yeah, it's him. The other protagonist. The man was wearing a rescue squad outfit, a captain even. A man whose mission was supposedly to save lives was now giving Natsuko a look that could kill. Oh yeah. We meet again, communicator. Indeed. Back, just like 6 hours ago. 7 hours ago, something like that. Yeah. The man's voice sounded familiar. It was a voice they heard last night at the ruined factory. He's that terrorist? Did he chase after us? No, it's just a coincidence that you're here as well. As soon as Natsuko made the connection, the man fired another shot. A sharp sound whizzed through the air, right beside Natsuko's ear. He's trying to kill us. If we stay here, Mashiro's gonna... Natsuko fled from the man, Mashiro in his arms. In pain, Mashiro cried out in pain due to her wound. Hang in tight, hang in there, Mashiro. As he tried to voice his encouragement, Natsuko thought to himself. Louise said she was shot too. Was he the one that shot her? Probably, yeah. Louise said she knocked out the 2 terrorists, but they saw 3 terrorists in the ruined factory. Then this man was the last one. Gunshots. Just then another gunshot rang out from behind them. Oh no. If they didn't escape, they would be killed. Natsuko frantically turned the corner. There was a security gate on the other side. With Mashiro still in his arms, he swiped the card through the slot. As the gate slowly opened, he heard footsteps coming from behind. Hurry up, open, damn it. But as Natsuko pleaded, ow, he was suddenly interrupted by an intense pain. Okay. He could feel warm blood oozing out from his side. A bullet had apparently gouged out just a tiny bit of his flesh. Natsuko, a bullet it's just a scratch. It's only a flesh wound. At least that's what he told himself as he dashed to the other side of the gate. Don't worry, you're being pumped full of adrenaline. You'll be fine for a little while. As they got to the other side, Natsuko pressed the open and close button on the security gate panel to shut the gate. But it probably wouldn't buy them much more than a few seconds. He probably has a security card too. Natsuko rushed for the emergency staircase with Mashiro in his arms, but the staircase was already destroyed. Damn it! Natsuko called the map to mind and searched for escape routes. Nope, none. We're currently at 4B2 of Area 6 Inner Ring. 9 years ago we escaped through the cargo lift. That was probably in the outer ring. When his thoughts had gotten that far, he heard sounds from outside the stairwell. It was the sound of the man opening the closed gate. Crap, he's gonna corner us. If they left the stairwell, the enemy would surely shoot them. But it was impossible for them to climb up to the surface with the staircase collapsed. Mashiro grabbed Natsuko's arm. Her hand was trembling. The footsteps approached. There was no time. If we only had a moment of an opening to get to the other ring, to the outer ring. Is there anything we can do? Anything to divert his attention? Use your brain. Literally, your psychokinetic brain. Natsuko thought for a second before an idea struck him. He focused hard and searched for the approaching man's characteristic brave waveform. The man was Type 5, a lone wolf detached from reality. Take this. Natsuko focused with all his might, sending forth intense telepathy. Stop! They heard the man scream from outside the stairwell. Natsuko held Mashiro and ran out of the stairwell. The man was standing still with his hands against his ears, just outside in the connecting passageway. Doesn't do shit against telepathy though. That was my most intense telepathy yet. Can your brain withstand such a loud sound? Yes, barely, but it can. We know it can. Natsuko concentrated further and fired off even more telepathy. The power necessary for a range of over 2 kilometers, all at point-blank range. Don't move! I'll wreck your brain! Wreck it! Ouch, okay, so he's not doing anything advanced. I do not think he's gonna implant the idea of Yuri into his mind or something like that. But he will merge with it, find out his history, right? Because he does erase his current memories and whatnot. And stuff like that happens. The man fell to his knees in pain. It worked, or at least he thought. Ouch. The man shot his gun without getting up. Natsuko shielded Mashiro in his arms. Luckily, the bullet did not hit them. But the man kept shooting recklessly. Shit. Natsuko ran without a rest. Damn it, telepathy isn't going to cut it. Even if it causes him to falter, it won't take him down. Not like that, won't. With that thought in mind, Natsuko rushed into the connecting passageway to the outer ring. A gunshot rang out from behind them. Mashiro breathed painfully. Her eyes looked vacant, as if she were running a fever while she is losing blood. And is in pain. Mashiro, are you okay? No, she's not. She's clearly not. Come on now. No. Her answer was weak and ambiguous. The answer is no, she's not. It's as simple as that. Perhaps the sudden loss of blood was putting her into shock. If we don't escape quickly, Mashiro's gonna die. But escape alone was not enough. The terrorist's goal was to destroy the city. They were probably going to cause a meltdown right after this. But there's nothing to melt down. Even if they got Mashiro out of here, even if Luis had already escaped. If the atomic dust scattered everywhere, then everyone would die before they could escape to a sufficient distance. In that case, what I need to do for the girls is... intense determination filled Natsuko's heart. And then he slipped through the connecting passageway and approached Area 6's outer ring. The outer ring was like a spacious factory. A factory engulfed in flames. Natsuko recalled the sights of 9 years ago. Back then, his mother took him here to escape. If I remember correctly, there's cargo rough in the furthest part inside. Natsuko weaved his way through the flames, carrying Mashiro in his arms. The blazing fires relentlessly assaulted them, scorching at their skin and clothes. Natsuko withstood the heat and pain as he pushed forward towards the emergency escape he knew to be there. He opened the security gate at the corner of the factory. Beyond the gate was a small room that was not at all different from how he remembered. The control panel next to the lift had buttons to control the door. When he pressed the open button, they heard the sound of the lift slowly descending. And then the door opened. Oh, okay, it's working. Apparently the lift was set to automatically go down when the door opened and automatically go up when the door closed. Natsuko looked inside to find that you could not control the lift's movement from the inside. Guess it's because people aren't normally meant to ride this thing. I guess. Natsuko confirmed the setup and laid Mashiro on the floor. He took off her blazer and tore up his own shirt. He tightly wrapped the torn cloth over her shoulder. Does it hurt? I'm sorry, I'm tending to your wound right now. Tending? It'll be bad if you bleed any more than this. Natsuko finished tending to the wound and put her blazer back on. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. Mashiro's consciousness seemed to be wearing thin. But nevertheless, she seemed to notice something strange in either his voice or expression. Her vacant eyes glimmered with the light of doubt. But why now? We're escaping together, so you could tend to it outside. Nope. I can't do that, Mashiro. I can't. Natsuko swallowed those words. Your wound could open during the time it takes to escape, right? That's why. It's nothing big. Really? Natsuko looked to the lift without answering the question. Listen, Mashiro. This lift can take you up to the surface. So first you get on and escape. And you, Natsuko? Natsuko looked for an answer and... he lied. I read that man's mind and found something out. Luis came down to try and save us, and it looks like she got trapped. That wasn't true. He only made it up so that he could get Mashiro to go out first, but you know, she can use empathy as well, dude. She can tell that you're lying. But without revealing any of that, Natsuko then spoke with sincerity. I'll escape after I save Luis. I mean, that's not a lie. So I can't go with you now. You escape first and tell Mom everything. But Mashiro looked at Natsuko and whispered sadly. Liar. Like, I couldn't read your mind with empathy just now. See? You're closing your heart, aren't you? Yeah, sure. Hey, come on now. Didn't you prohibit yourself from reading other people's minds without permission? Fuck off with that. This isn't the time for that. Yeah, fuck morality and whatnot. Ethics. Ethics can suck it. When it's life or death situations, ethics are very flexible. What's your real goal, Natsuko? Why are you staying? It's no lie. I am going to save Luis. As Natsuko piled on the lies, Masho spoke up with a tormented voice. Then I'm staying in the basement too. No, the terrorists are still wandering about the facility. And what are you gonna do? I can't just take you with me. You'll just be a burden. Not wrong. You are bleeding to death, basically. If we don't act quick, he's gonna come here. So please, just go. No. No. Masha shook her head like a child. I mean, you are children. So, tears blotted her eyes. I don't want us to get separated. We just now finally connected. For the first time in 9 years, we can finally speak our true words. Masha clenched her fist and pounded Natsuko's chest. She pounded and pounded as she cried out. And now you're the one lying? To get away from me? Yeah, nah, good luck there, Natsuko. That's too much. That's just too much. If you're not going to open your heart, then let me do what I want to. Mashita wouldn't listen to what Natsuko had to say. Well, no shit, she's not. She got perfectly good reasons not to. It was because of the very fact that their hearts connected that their intentions did not. And so, Natsuko, he expressed his feelings to her with actions rather than words. Mashiro. Oh, this thing? Okay, fine, whatever. Young love and all that jazz, whatever. Natsuko pinned her down and pressed his lips against her. Her body stiffened in resistance, but eventually she relaxed. He felt her soft body and her pounding heart, and he knew she could feel his pounding heart as well. Blah, 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 blah. Look, I'm not really here for the romance. I never have been, probably never will be. After that fleeting kiss, Natsuko gently moved back away from Mashiro. I'm sorry, Mashiro. I know I'm always saying selfish things. But this is how I feel. I don't want to get separated from you either. But to protect you, Natsuko. Mashiro spoke up in confusion. As he gazed at her, Natsuko recalled something that he had once heard. It was what his mother had said 9 years ago. This is a cargo lift. It can't go down to the basement from the ground floors, but it should go up the other way, even during incidents. It can't go down to the basement from the ground floors. So to protect Mashiro, I have no choice but to do this. As he muttered that, he pushed Mashiro into the lift. Natsuko ignored Mashiro's yelp as he pressed the button on the lift's control panel. What are you doing? The lift door shut in front of Mashiro as she panicked and stood up. Stop joking around. Open up, Natsuko. Natsuko. He could hear her voice from beyond the door. The lift could not be controlled from the inside. In just a matter of time, the lift would automatically take Mashiro up to the ground level. Natsuko placed a finger to his temple and sent her telepathy. Mashiro, thank you for everything. I'm glad we could be together. Natsuko? But this isn't our final farewell. I swear I'll come back alive. So wait for me, up on the surface. He could tell Mashiro gasped. After a short moment of silence, her answer arrived. It's a promise, okay? Natsuko quietly nodded at those words. Soon enough, he heard the sound of the lift ascending. Natsuko pondered to himself as he heard that. Mashiro, after 10 years, we finally had our journey of justice, haven't we? It was really fun, like old times, but this is as far as we can go together. Is this the wrong ending again? Fuck. It would have been simple to escape with Mashiro, but since there were no other emergency escapes, the man would probably come here eventually. The bullet wound in Natsuko's side throbbed in pain. It's not enough to run away. If we don't prevent the meltdown, if we don't stop them, the city would be destroyed. Atomic dust would rain on Mashiro, Luis, his mother, Anna and Jun, and everyone else. I can't let that happen. Natsuko stared intensely at the control panel and smashed it with all his strength. Okay, so that checks out. And in the continuity, he cut his fist, but he kept hitting it until with a crunch, it was completely destroyed. It's a weak control panel. If like a teenager who doesn't really do much, physical exercises could just crush it with his fists like that. That's weak. That's made of aluminium or something. Something weak. To prevent it from being repaired, Natsuko tore out the wiring connecting it to the wall and stuffed it in his pocket. Sure. Okay. Now the terrorists couldn't chase Mashiro, and there is no other escape route. He cut off the only emergency escape, meaning nobody else could get out of the basement. So what was up with the blood bag they were gonna use and whatnot? Then, back there... That's... Alright, I guess we'll find out about that. I won't... Yeah, her lying, bleeding out somewhere as well. What I need to do now is not to escape, but to fight. To defeat that man and prevent the terrorist attack. To protect everybody's future. Just as Natsuko made that resolution, he felt a presence behind him. Hello. Hello there, Watase. He looked back to see the man standing by the entrance of the small room. The man glared at Natsuko with his gun at his waist. Natsuko immediately focused and sent a full force wave of telepathy with all of his willpower. Stop! But the man didn't falter one bit. He's developed a resistance. Fancy that. Don't move. He tried one more time, but the man showed no hint of any change. Nice. It's like the Terminator or something at this point. It's not working. Is he withstanding it? Well, obviously. Telepathy. You caught me off guard back there, but it's not going to work again. With that, the man leapt at Natsuhika. The man grabbed him by the neck and pulled him in with frightening strength. Yeah, Watase is fucking competent as hell. I like it. His fierce glare pierced Natsuko like a sword. What happened to the girl? Who gives a damn? The moment he answered that, the man's fist sank into Natsuko's gut. I'm just grinning like an idiot here, behind the screen. It felt as if his stomach had ruptured. He couldn't breathe. The man quietly scanned the room and took notice of the broken control panel. Clever kid. Oh, he's also doing the forehead thing. The man clicked his tongue and beat Natsuko in the face. Ow. Lights flashed before Natsuko's eyes, and for a moment his consciousness threatened to cut out. He heard the man's voice through the ringing in his ears. You damn communicators really rubbed me the wrong way. So even a pack of monsters like you can value your friends, eh? They're not monsters, they're just fucking kids. Come on now. I didn't know your kids even had it in you. The man's voice was full of pitch black hate, and his words played back in Natsuko's ear. What supports Q's belief is a hatred of the unknown. The mere thought that they're not like us is enough to incite them to hate others, ostracize them, and injure them. Their mentality is abnormal. No, that's fairly normal human mentality. I mean, not to that extreme, but the general sentiment of fear of the unknown, that's common. That's basic human. We went over this. He felt like he'd caught a glimpse of that mentality now. So Natsuko stood up to fight against that hatred. Of course we do. I don't know why you hate us so much. Communicators are people too. But we don't hate ordinary people without reason. We don't set towns on fire, we don't set bombs, and we don't shoot people indiscriminately either. We're not like you terrorists. Why are you surprised, Watase? Come on now. Natsuko could hear the man gasp. I guess he is an ideologue, a zealot. Eventually the man smiled and his voice echoed. Well, no shit. No proper human would. But it's pretty ballsy of you to say that to my face, kid. Your kind killed over 100 people. What? Oh, kind. Oh, come on now. Blame those individuals who did that, not like the whole... Like, fuck's sake. Natsuko's eyes wide at those words. The man tightened his grip around Natsuko's neck and continued. Look, you communicator. Even if you don't know it, I've got a perfectly good reason to hate your kind. Okay, that's very small-minded of you, Watase. You have precious friends, right? Well, there was someone who was more precious to me than anyone else. Oh, that's what happened to her. So I guess that was his wife that we saw in the mirror back then. Or in the future, that he will see. What are you talking about? He's like any other person. You don't know? Nah, of course you don't. What's one more dead kid in a list of 118 casualties? But that kid was my other half. My very mirror image. Eh? Weak but motivated. Stupid but gentle. The very embodiment of light to me. But that light died, and all that's left is a dark shadow. Oh, come on. You're behaving like a broody teenager here with that kind of language. These kind of words. That's me. That's what Kasasagi. A dark shadow. Come on. That's some edgy teenage edgelord nonsense talk. Burn that name into your ears. Carve it into your mind. Reflect on that name until the moment you die. I mean, Watase is just some kind of name, and Kasasagi is a bird. A very pretty bird, honestly. Watase Kasasagi. It was a name he had never heard before. Natsuko had no idea what the man was talking about. But the man didn't sweat the details as he slipped the gun out from his waist. At that moment, Natsuko froze. He's gonna shoot. No shit. All doubt flew away from his mind. And in its place, he recalled the conversation he once had with Luis. You threw that security guard today, didn't you? Do you think I can learn to do that too? Oh, he's gonna... Okay, that's how it gets away. Dabbling just a bit in martial arts won't help you, but there are techniques that even amateurs can use. If someone tries to grab you by the neck... As soon as he remembered, Natsuko's body moved on its own. Which it shouldn't, since you haven't practiced that. You don't have the muscle memories, but sure, well, let's go for it. He grabbed the man's wrist back and nimbly wrapped around behind him. He really shouldn't be able to do that. But I guess Watase wasn't expecting that, so yeah, still. The man braced his legs, but with a vigorous yell, sure. Natsuko threw the man down. This is probably the most unrealistic and unbelievable thing that's happened so far in the entire thing. Natsuko was able to overpower Watase. Like, come on now. Even if it's like from an advantageous position, like, come on now. There's at least like probably, what? Whatever. That was the Shihonage, the only technique Luis taught him. As he fell, something dropped from the man's pocket. A card with level N written on it. A security card. If I just break it... Natsuko picked up the card and snapped it in two. And at the same time, the man got up. He was still holding the gun in his hand. Is he going to shoot? No. If I keep running away, I can trap him. Natsuko turned back and tried to dash out of the room. But then a gunshot rang out. And got shot again. And Natsuko's left arm popped. Ow. He shouted against his will. He was struck by intense pain as if he'd been hit by a blunt force weapon in the upper arm and his brain were burning. Pain! Natsuko withstood the intense pain and tumbled out of the room. He ran into the fire, applying pressure to his arm. He took the split card and threw it into the blazing flames. A shout shot up from behind him. You think you can break my card and lock me in so I can't chase you, eh? Natsuko looked back to see the man standing behind the flames. The man took out another card from his pocket to replace the one Natsuko destroyed. Yeah, he's prepared. Too bad that wasn't my only card. I came prepared. Exactly. He's had months to prepare. So don't even think you're getting away, communicator. I will find you, and I will kill you. I swear. Natsuko shook off that voice and ran. And thus began his desperate fight for his life in the underground facility without an exit. He ran recklessly through the factory towards another area. But that area was also wrapped in flames, the heat waves tormenting Natsuhiko. As he ran, his breathing grew rough, blood oozed out of his arm and side, his body was gradually losing strength. Damn it, what do I do? How do I defeat him? Not physically. The telepathy attacks weren't working on him, you need to meld with his mind. His heart obviously wasn't open, so Natsuko couldn't use empathy, but you got a third power. And the throwing techniques weren't enough to do any real damage, at least there's that. He had the element of surprise once. No matter how much Natsuko kept running, he would be overtaken and shot to death. Watase is yeah. Like, you can do something against him once, but then he adapts. He figures out what you did, and... second time, no dice. If I at least had some sort of weapon. He looked around and soon realized he could use the fire surrounding him as a weapon. Natsuko kicked the burning wall with all his strength. The wall board tore off and fell to the floor. He held the board to the fire, setting it aflame as a sort of makeshift torch. It's do or die, eh? If I could just hit him in the face with this. He's got a ranged weapon and you have a melee weapon. That's not really gonna work out. If it worked out, he could blind the man. With that thought in mind, Natsuko hid himself under cover. Eventually he heard the area gate open. Heavy footsteps approached. Wait for it, don't go until the last second. Natsuko lowered his breath, concealed himself completely, and waited for the right timing. And then he jumped out of cover and hurled the burning board at the man's face. The man shrank back for a second. The board flew towards his face, but right before impact, he swatted it out of the air with his arm. What was that supposed to be? Signature look of disappointment and like, really? Please, you didn't think this would defeat me, did you? Of course not. The man spoke in disappointment as he casually shot his gun. A third bullet gouged itself into Natsuko's body, this time in the right leg. That kind of sucks though, that's real bad though. He leaned against the wall. Like, I'm not happy that Natsuko's getting shot, but we already knew that was gonna happen, that already happened. But you know, confrontation with Watasa at is in his full force in prime, that's bloody awesome. I love this. A force of nature almost. But he put up with the pain and forced his legs to run away. Is he going to shoot me in the back? Yes, why wouldn't he? He thought so, but the man did not. Instead of a gunshot, he heard a scoffing voice. Don't think I'll just give you the repose of death. Ah, okay, he's being malicious right now. Sadistic. That's it. Run, 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 you damn communicator. Just like how we ran to the hospital that night. Look. Whatever. The man kept speaking unintelligibly as he made his leisurely pursuit. Character great, his determination desire is dumb. He's like... but that's an ideologue, that's a zealot, that's an extremist for you. In the simple world of black and white, there's no room for middle ground. Natsuko's voice overflowed with bitterness. Damn it! Damn it, damn it, damn it! Natsuko cursed over and over as he ran for his life. Searching for a way to defeat the man and survive. Searching for a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair. The blood poured endlessly. From his side, his left arm, his right leg. His sight went dark, his body cold. So he got wounded this heavily at 7:50. And Mashiro was wounded in the elevator and apparently stuck there or something like that as well. And we know nobody gets to help anyone for at least until like, what was it, like 16, 17 o'clock or something like that. Humans can be surprisingly tough though, so I'm not gonna like hop on that, say anything that like they should have died by then. Like, no, humans can be pretty fucking tough. But that sucks. Being stuck with untreated wounds like that for 8-9 hours, 10 hours up to even. That sucks. That's permanent damage in some parts of the body. Although he's young. They're both young, Mashiro and Natsuko. So, you know, the body of a teenager is made of magic. So they'll recover fully. He knew he was losing too much blood. But no matter how bloody he got, no matter how much he ran, he could not find a single weapon to defeat the man. At the end of his aimless run, Natsuko arrived in a bizarre place. Yeah, somehow made it to Area N. A spacious hall of some sort. It is not a nuclear reactor. Giant cylindrical machines were lined up. Their whirring noises indicated they were operational, and in the middle, an elevator to the actual purpose of this facility. This entire thing above ground, and even the basement floors, is a front for the creation of a new form of life and intelligence. A god entity that's pure information, consciousness existing outside of the realm of the physical world. What is this place? Natsuko did not remember how he had gotten there. His consciousness kept threatening to cut out. No, who cares about that? Is there anything I can use as a weapon? Natsuko's hazy thoughts were drowned out by a gunshot. Bam! With another bullet pierced into his left arm, Natsuko collapsed to the ground. His brachial artery seemed to have ruptured as a fountain of blood gushed out. I can't. The wound was likely fatal. As Natsuko sank into the puddle of blood, the man's voice rained down upon him. So this is where you die. The man had apparently followed him all the way here. Natsuko hadn't even realized it. This is the perfect grave site for you monsters. Kids. The man trampled Natsuko's hand, smashing the security card in his grip. Pain ran through his trampled hand, but he could no longer even scream. As Natsuko slowly looked up, the man questioned him. How does it feel? Does it hurt? Well, I'm sure it's nowhere near the level of pain the light of my life suffered at the hands of you monsters. But please, enjoy your 10,000th of that pain. Enjoy your 10,000th of that pain as you die there. Natsuko could say nothing. All he could do was question what he had just heard. What is he talking about? Who is this light of his life? But before he could find the answers to that question, his vision went dark. The man turned back and said, After you comes the girl. So long, communicator. Natsuko gasped to hear those words. No way, he's going to chase Mashiro? And kill her? In an instant, Natsuko's consciousness came rushing back. Yeah, surge of adrenaline, go for it. The desire to protect Mashiro aroused him. He grabs the man by the arms, the gun in the air, and then assault of the mind, mental merger. His body had already lost a large volume of blood. He probably didn't have much longer. He had no weapons. Telepathy was useless. But even so, think of a way to stop him. In an instant, Natsuko's thoughts ran wild. In the situation devoid of all hope, and inside the endless darkness, memories. He found a single ray of hope. My ability. The power to connect minds rather than just brains. Can I use that to defeat him? Yes and no. When he had connected with Mashiro's heart, he saw her memories as if they were his own. Each memory seemed delicate, fragile, easy to break. But obviously, that wasn't reality. That was just a visualization of the brain activity inside Mashiro's head, wasn't it? Yeah, not really though. He had no idea what the underlying principles behind the third ability were. But it felt like diving into people's memories. It was an aberrant PC ability that allowed direct interference with the brain's function. If that's the case, then depending on how I go about it, perhaps I could use it to deal direct damage to his brain. It was hardly a glimmer of hope, but rather nothing more than our wishful thinking. But as he thought about it, Natsuko remembered something. In particular, he remembered the last of Rokume City's 7 wonders, the one he could not remember when they were telling them to Luis. It was the reverse of wonder number 5, which was, if a communicator uses BC without knowing the proper way, their mind will eventually break. If a communicator excessively misuses BC, their target's mind will eventually break. Is this what it meant? Okay, so that explains how Watasa's memories basically get wiped out, and he's just reset to baseline. Can powerful BC really break the target's mind? Yes, it can. We know it can. As soon as he got the idea, Natsuko's entire body regained its strength. Barbarian yell. And bum rush the Watase, who is not impressed. Natsuko stood up and rushed at Watase. Well, I guess he's surprised. The man turned around and readied his gun. But just a second sooner, Natsuko grabbed the man by the wrist. And this scene. Like hell, I'm gonna let ya. Fully visualized scene this time around, with both Watase and Natsuko. The proportions seem a little off. I think the arms are a bit long here, but whatever, fine. The man's face stiffened, as Natsuko desperately grasped the man's wrist. I mean, you really shouldn't be able to hold him off for too long. He is physically more powerful, and you are wounded in 4 places. He took a deep breath, but you only need a second for your mind break, and focused with all his mind and soul. It was the same as when he entered Mashiro's mind, but this time forcibly, aggressively, with intention to destroy, unfiltered, unrestrained. Natsuko focused on his intent to expose the man's mind, not to know it, but to destroy it. That moment, Natsuko's vision tumbled into darkness. Alright, it's the same as how it was with Mashiro. Now to destroy his mind and... But what Natsuko saw terrified him. Ooh. That's hell. Hospitals and stuff like that. What the hell is this? It's hell. It's the hell he, Watase, lives with every day of his life. Until you free him from that. Or at least temporarily. The inside of the man's mind was completely different from Mashiro's. Yeah, he's lost it. Communiques aren't human. Yes, they are. They're mind-corrupting monsters. No, they're not. This is Monster Hunt. Kill or be killed. No, you're just insane. Yeah, kill. The man's distorted thoughts were swirling with tremendous hatred and killing intent. The visions of the memories floating about were likewise warped, ruined and teeming with malice. Like, Watase is a good man if you get rid of this stuff that makes him go crazy. The man's mind was devoted to hatred towards communicators. Resentment, indignation, lament, murderous rage, all sorts of negative emotions. Natsuko-in felt the man's unadulterated emotions that could be neither verbalized nor visualized. Why is it all like this? Because he's messed up in the head. No, more importantly, I need to destroy these memories. Natsuko glared at the fragments of the man's memories. Shatter. The moment he wished for their destruction, the visions burst and faded into darkness. The man screamed. Natsuko snapped back to his senses. We didn't get to see his memories, really. What is the light of his hope, of his life? And stuff like that. What happened there? What was the hospital incident? Now we have another thing. 118, that's a specific number. That's a very exact incident. The man dropped his gun and gazed at Natsuko in dumbfounded terror. That was... my head. It can't be. Not you too. That sentence. What does that mean? Not you too. What does that mean now? Like, it's been like 50 hours? That statement has not gained additional context. What does that mean? I'm still just as baffled, even more baffled actually, than I was at the start. The man babbled ambiguously as he stared fearfully at Natsuko. However, Natsuko was already at the end of his rope. I can't go on. I can't keep focusing. He glared at the man and tried to use BC, but he couldn't use his abilities. If he got shot by the man again, it would certainly be the end of his life. However, the man turned around and ran like mad. He broke his mind. Wait, Natsuko tried to chase after him, but collapsed. The man's back faded into the distance. His mind is abnormal. Why would he hate communicators so much? You didn't pierce too deeply into his mind to find out. You could have found out. You got a glimpse, you got a specific trigger. Hospital, 118 victims. Come on now, you could have, but well, I guess you're shot and you're in an adrenaline panic, so, you know, Natsuko couldn't believe it. What could drive someone to hate others so much? Oh, lots of things. Delusions, mostly, but, genuine incidents, traumas, stuff like that. Someone like that is dangerous. Someone like that can't be allowed to oh, come on now. That's also an extreme position. Disagree. But Natsuko could no longer move so much as a finger. Like... I don't... Damn. I can't move anymore. Am I going to die here? No, not yet. Natsuko's consciousness faded. The feeling of death loomed over him. Somehow you survive for another 10 hours. Until you wake up. But at that moment, Mashiro came to mind. No, I can't die here. Not now. If I leave that terrorist alive, he'll kill Mashiro. So at the very least, I need to stop that man. But he's already fine now. The moment that thought crossed his mind, the final flame of life ignited within Natsuhiko. He wasn't dead just yet. He still had his sight, his hearing, his touch, his smell, his taste, and his pain sensitivity. As long as he was alive, he would keep going until that final flame died out. You. Natsuko forced his body up. His hazy eyes caught sight of the man trying to leave the room. You're not getting away. As he steeled his fading consciousness, Natsuko focused with all his mind. Come on. Show me all the memories that composed his mind. Yes, come on, do it. And the moment that thought crossed his mind, countless visions twinkled in the darkness. This is all I can do now. So please, work. Shatter. Damn it, you're not looking into them. Ugh. Natsuko used the last of BC to destroy the man's mind. To destroy his enemy's inexhaustible malice. He crammed in malice of his own that surpassed it. And at that moment, the man's screams echoed from somewhere. After a split second, the man's body collapsed. Natsuko could no longer see, only hear. But he was convinced that he had destroyed the man's mind. Well, his memories. As he heard the sound of the gate closing, Natsuko's lips curled up in a faint smile. So how does he Amendoljima die? Then, if this... maybe Dotase has already killed him before here. Maybe... God damn it. Still unanswered things. And the biggest question, Yuri. What the fuck is that? I did it. Now he can't attack Mashiro anymore. And with that conviction in his mind, all strength left his body. His body grew cold. His sight grew dark. It was as if all his senses diluted. As if he became a mere spirit floating in the air. He felt like a ripple in the water. Death was near. But he was fine with that. As long as he was able to protect her. Natsuko's mind filled with warmth. And after that, suddenly, nothingness swooped down upon him. In his fading consciousness, Natsuko thought that he had finally accomplished something at the end of his 16 years of life. Thank goodness. No. Don't tell me this. No, this is going exactly as it should as the story progresses correctly. This is not the end. This is the correct path. It has to be. Come on, I saved Mashiro. He was able to repay his debt of 9 years. I erased the malice. He prided himself in that feat as he prayed. So please, I hope that this never happens again. No more tragedies. No, as long as humans exist, there's going to be tragedies. As long as there's resource scarcity, as long as there's differences between people, tragedies will happen. That's just human nature. As long as we have limited resources and there's any cause for, we don't even need a valid cause for conflict, we'll just come up with it again. We always do. That's the unfortunate nature of us. But that desire eventually disappeared as well. Mashiro. At the end of his vague thoughts, he thought faintly about the girl who was precious to him. And then Natsuko's consciousness sank into the darkness. Epilogue. What? At that time, somewhere in the basement floors of Labo, there was a girl desperately trying to pull her consciousness together as well. Did I lose too much blood? In her hand, she grasped a single ampule of medication. She stuck it into her arm with wavering hands. AD, that's not really useful for anything other than dealing with the WX particles. And somewhere else, two female rescue squad members spoke with heavy expressions on their faces. We lost the radio contact with the commander again. What about the captain's team? Still can't get through to them either. The woman gritted her teeth as she glared at the radio. Captain. As she worried about her squadmates, the other girl furrowed her eyebrows. On the lower floor, another woman nearly crawled on the ground to escape the encroaching fire and spoke. Why are you here, Anna? You're just a teacher, apparently. What the fuck? Why is she here? How did she even get here? But no, that she can't be just a teacher then if she got here. That's also another question we don't have answers to yet. Damn it. Like hell am I gonna die here? She gave voice to her conviction and ran for her life. And finally, somewhere far away from there, in the darkness of the section everyone had forgotten, lay a lone girl. So, she slowly got up. It was the girl who had been inside the boy's mind. The girl who had died here 9 years ago. She looked around and murmured in an empty voice. Hikarin. However, her words fell on no ears, but dissolved into the darkness instead. Before end. So the information from Natsuko's mind did manifest as, Continuation of route double. Area N. Okay, so we got the correct ending, at least 3:15 p.m. The man toyed around with by countless mysteries and even doubted by those he thought, oh yeah, who was that other girl who died? What? He's finally exhausted his strength. Collapsed on the ground. But the boy had been watching him from the shadows all along. Somehow, he's unconscious. He knows the truth behind the auditory hallucinations the man kept hearing. But, just what happened there after the man shot the boy down and before he stood up again. Yeah! Tell me, fuck. This is another survival story that was never depicted before. Once the boy decides to leave his lookout and takes matters into his own hands, the story will move towards its end. 9:16 a.m. when Watasa wakes up and has no memory.
Before crime, after days. Route current.
Current route. The past and the future. These two roads now overlap to become one. Hell yes. To the next route. Current unlocked. A new scenario has been added to the route select menu. You unlocked answer mode for B, blah, blah, select the answer, blah, 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 blah. Okay. That's... okay. Ah, bloody hell. Bloody hell, bloody hell, bloody hell. Ah, that's excellent. Ah, I want to continue right now, but I also want to separate these properly. So, you know what? I have patience. I have limitless patience. That's fine. This is good. We've concluded this. We have concluded the before crime route. Many questions were answered, but so many more were raised. Actually, I don't even know. I'm not even sure if that many were answered. More were raised. What the fuck is Yuri then? She's literally manifested herself. Somehow. Somewhere. This is excellent. 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 But that means... well, this... yes. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna mix and match different segments into the same part. Yes. This is what's gonna happen then. I guess that is it for this part. Part 9 has concluded. The before crime has concluded as well. Very excited. Very, very excited. Alright then. Okay. That's cool. That's excellent. Excellent, eh? Yes. Alright. Yeah. Alright. Let's not do anything unnecessary. We can take things slowly, one thing at a time. Therefore, we can move on. We can conclude for now. That's fine. That is totally fine and acceptable because we need to organize things. Excitement is all well and good, but I also wish to follow my own structure, organization. There needs to be some of it with the brain that I have that is not very well structured or organized most of the time. And so we shall indeed conclude with that. But we will not leave you for long. No, no. As we conclude today, we move on to the next bit. The next bit, yes. If I recall correctly, that should be the Enter the Void. Next time we will return with the current route. But for now, I leave you adieu. Bye-bye for a bit. And now, we continue with The Reign of Dio. Act 1, Rainbow. Volume 2, Rising. Chapter 10, Tarot Woman. Chance encounter during the autumn fair set my life aflame. The cards, they spoke to me through her honeyed voice, and drilled a hole in my heart for a love I had yet to know. Dreams of scarlet hair, visions of dust-soaked skin. I knew not her face, only that I must meet her soon. Spells and charms entwine my reason. I know it twists me beyond my norm. but I do not care. This emptiness I cannot leave as is. Her sweet sensation will leave me in bliss. Then she'll have me, body and soul. I reached the end of my life, yet this woman I hoped for never arrived. I lived a hollow life of simple happiness, 3 children raised well, a wife content, but I could never give them the true love. Were you even real, my love promised by the cards? Have I lived a life of lies, believing in the lines on my palm? Did I waste my life and theirs, forever looking beyond at her glistening skin, tasting the scent of her perfect hair, hearing whispers of her sweet voice? Tell me, did I cheat on my mind's ideal, or on the reality that I received? Thank you for listening, and goodbye.